What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 4SD Chapter 61 Marco eats the phoenix fruit. The sunlight shines through the transparent seawater, reflecting a blue sea surface, like a huge mirror. Two huge pirate ships were sailing quickly on the calm sea. It's Newgate's Moby D*K and Rock's Black Pearl. It's been nearly a month since the two left the hive. After the two pirate ships arrived at the Sabodi archipelago from the 10,000-meter deep sea on the Fishmen Island, they immediately sped towards the naval headquarters. Because of the news sent back through the spies arranged by Rocks. After a month of fundraising, almost every world government member country has completed preparations for the heavenly gold. Some relatively wealthy countries have even begun to transport heavenly gold to Marijoa. So, Rocks and Newgate must hurry and head to attack naval headquarters. This plan can only succeed if it attracts the attention of world governments. At this time, aboard Moby D*K, Newgate is also preparing for the coming war. After this month of cultivation, at this time, Newgate's body has been adjusted to optimal condition by Tsunade. Name: Edward Newgate. Age: 32 years old. Potential: SS+. Power: SS class, 16 open double angle bracket speed. SS class close double angle bracket. Energy: SS level. Body level: S+. Combat skills: Super Top Conquerors Hockey Naginata Technique 8 Inner Gates Formation C Shock Earthquake Air Shock Time Stop Shock Fruit Overclocking Mode Life Return. Ability: Shock Fruit. Evaluation: a guy with terrifying strength, but his brain is a little abnormal. He actually likes to be a father. Although a month ago, when attacking the world government member countries, they encountered the obstruction of GARP and two admiral-level CPOs. At that time, Newgate desperately opened the fifth gate of the 8 inner gates. But it's not without its benefits. This time the serious injury was healed, allowing Newgate to take another small step forward in strength. Reached SS level. Looking at his attribute panel, Newgate nodded with satisfaction. But Newgate didn't relax at all. After all, the next battle may not be comparable to any previous battle. Even though Rocks, a terrifying guy, exists, all high-level combatants will focus on him. But Newgate definitely has a lot of enemies to face as well. 9556, 9557, 9558. Advertisement. Just as Newgate was thinking, a sudden whisper came into Newgate's ears. Newgate looked over and saw that Marco and the others were working hard. Newgate suddenly remembered that he still had a phoenix fruit in his hand, and it was time to give it to Marco to eat. Marco didn't eat the fire-type devil fruit before, so his fire explosion ability was never used. After eating the phoenix fruit, Marco's output ability and endurance will be greatly enhanced. Marco, come here. Newgate shouted to Marco. What's wrong, Dad? After hearing this, Marco came over immediately. The other children also stopped when they heard this and looked over curiously. You seem to be working very hard lately. Seeing that he was only 8 years old but had muscles that no other person of his age had on his body, Newgate immediately nodded with satisfaction. Hee. Isn't this just to become stronger quickly so that I can protect my father and sisters? When Marco was praised by Newgate, he suddenly scratched his head in embarrassment. Good boy. Newgate rubbed Marco's head happily, and then clicked on Marco's attribute panel. Name: Edward Marco. Age: 8 years old. Potential: S+. Power: D class. Speed: D class. Energy: D class. Body grade: D. Combat skills: an introduction to intermediate taijutsu and monster power, an introduction to Paintian Jiao chakra refining technique. Ability: fire explosion. Evaluation: a pineapple head with good potential. I have to say that Marco has worked really hard only in the past 2 months. His strength has actually reached the level of lieutenant colonel. And he also learned the chakra refining technique from Tsunade, as well as the strange strength and painful legs. After all, Tsunade was the first to become Newgate's child at the same time as Marco. So the two of them feel better. Plus, among his children, Tsunade is the most skilled in taijutsu. So Marco would often pester Tsunade and ask her to teach him. Tsunade was also very generous and had no reservations about Marco. Marco, eat this devil fruit. Newgate took out the phoenix fruit without hesitation and placed it in front of Marco. Isn't this the phoenix fruit? Marco was shocked when he saw this devil fruit, because he was beside his father when he selected this devil fruit, so he naturally knew its value. Advertisement: is it really appropriate for me to eat such a valuable fruit? Marco looked at Newgate suspiciously. Idiot, this is the devil fruit I chose for you. Besides, don't you want to become stronger and protect your father and family? If you eat this devil fruit, you will have to take on the responsibility of protecting your family. Are you willing? Newgate said with a smile. Yeah, I do. As soon as he heard Newgate say this, Marco's face immediately showed a touch of determination. Okay, then eat it. Marco no longer hesitated, took the phoenix fruit from Newgate's hand, and bit it down directly. But, immediately, he was stunned, and countless cold sweats fell from his forehead crazily. Unpalatable. It tastes so bad. This was definitely the most disgusting thing Marco had ever eaten. Even the food he ate in the garbage when he was homeless was nothing compared to it. At this time, in Newgate's sight, Marco's attribute panel also changed. Name: Edward Marco. Age: 8 years old. Potential: SS+. Power: D class. Speed: D class. Energy: D class. Body level: S+. Combat skills: an introduction to intermediate taijutsu and monster power, an introduction to Paintian Jiao chakra refining technique. Ability: Fire Explosion Zone Bird Fruit Phantom Beast Species Phoenix Form. Evaluation: a pineapple head with good potential. Marco's potential has also been directly upgraded to SS+, which means that as long as Marco insists on becoming stronger, 227 will definitely be able to break through to the peak martial level in the future. Moreover, Marco, who has eaten the phoenix fruit, has almost no shortcomings. The only shortcoming is that his defense is relatively weak. In terms of recovery power, the phoenix fruit has resurrected blue flames, which can quickly heal wounds. It is not only effective for oneself, but also effective for others. Moreover, the characteristics of the phoenix are also very awesome. The phoenix fruit has the characteristics of the mythical phoenix. Its body is surrounded by flames and can be reborn from the fire many times. It is an immortal body. If it has mobility, the phoenix fruit can fly with its wings. The phoenix fruit has the ability of the zone bird fruit and can use its wings to fly. As for attack power, Marco has the ability to explode with flames. Only flames that can attack the enemy can cause horrific damage. He only has defensive ability. Even after eating the phoenix fruit, Marco's defensive ability has not been enhanced much. But, the recovery ability brought by the phoenix fruit also makes up for this shortcoming in disguise. And when Marco learns armament hockey in the future, Marco should be able to become a hexagonal warrior without any shortcomings by then. Looking at Marco's attribute panel, Newgate thought to himself, it is indeed a phoenix fruit. Its recovery ability is really powerful. Maybe we can start giving it to Marco's 8 inner gates technique. But it is obviously unrealistic now. After all, the war is imminent. Chapter 62 Newgate's confidence arrives at Marineford. After encouraging Marco, he let him continue training. Although we are about to arrive at Marineford, the battle is about to begin, but Marco and the other brats had no chance of participating in the battle. Therefore, there is no way for them to conserve their physical strength. I don't know if it's because the sisters brought them excitement or what. As a result, both Marco and Jinbei worked very hard. As for the little guy Chaozi, he is still too young. He just eats, drinks and has fun all day long, looking innocent and innocent. Seeing their efforts, Newgate was also very pleased. After all, the experiences of the previous life are almost vivid in my mind. Blackbeard teaches betrayal. Scourd's sneak attack. Coupled with the enemy's provocation, his children immediately looked at him with questioning eyes. But, everything seems to be moving in the right direction now. Newgate calmed down and looked solemnly in the direction of Marineford. This operation is indeed very dangerous, and may require facing the powerful people of the entire world government. But for the devil fruit, the magical beast promised by rocks, it is still worth fighting for. After all, it is impossible for him to protect his children for the rest of his life. Therefore, in order to make them stronger as much as possible, this Phantom Beast Devil Fruit Nugate is still very certain to be obtained. Of course, if he had just set off from Beehive Island a month ago, Gate would not have been very sure at that time. But now, Nugate is still very confident. Although not only my own strength has improved in this month, several of my children have also improved completely after the battle in the last mission and the hard training this month. First, Tsunade. Name: Edward Tsunade. Age: 19 years old. Potential: SS. Power: SS class. Speed: S+ class. Energy: SS level. Body level: SS. Combat technique: Top Conqueror's Haki Chakra Refining Technique Wei Li Pain Tien Jiao Healing Jutsu Chakra Scalpel 100 Healings Mark 100 Healings Mark. Ninja Art: Meiotic Regeneration, Baihao Technique. Weapons: None. Ability: None. Evaluation: A member of the Senju clan whose bloodline has not yet awakened, has good potential, but her life is very unfortunate. Tsunade's strength has been greatly improved, and all attributes of his body have been upgraded to ultimate. Especially the strength and energy have reached their maximum potential. The physical level has exceeded the limit of potential value. However, Tsunade's speed has only reached the peak of the Admiral level. But Nugate felt that Tsunade's speed couldn't be improved. After all, Tsunade's overall strength has reached the limit of SS. If there is no way to improve his potential, Tsunade may only be able to achieve this level of success. Some people may feel that Tsunade improves too quickly. Actually not. Don't forget that Tsunade carries the memories of his past life. Advertisement: she already had such strength, but she was unable to show her peak strength before due to physical limitations. And, as Tsunade reaches 19 years old and her body grows rapidly, Tsunade naturally possesses terrifying strength. And Sakura's words. Name: Edward Sakura, Blackened Sakura. Age: 7 years old. Potential: S+. Power: E+ level, D+. Speed: E+ class, D+. Energy: E+ level, S+ infinity. Physical level: E+, 1. Combat skills: Intermediate Conqueror's Haki, Start. Ability: Blackening Magic Circuit Contract Imprint. Evaluation: The girl who masters magic has a terrifying power hidden in her body, power enough to destroy an entire city. Sakura's strength has improved step by step. However, Sakura's fighting ability has never been based on her physical level. The Blackened Sakura has almost unlimited magic power. If Sakura is in the rear, as a magician, the strategic role she can play is absolutely terrifying. And Shitong's words. Name: Edward Red Eyes. Age: 18 years old. Potential: S+. Power: S class. Speed: S class. Energy: S class. Body level: S. Combat skills: Advanced Conqueror's Haki's Top Killing Sword Technique, Curse and Poison. Weapon: Nichiren Sword, Unnamed. Ability: Yu Xiaojiao. Evaluation: Transformed into a demon sword and the demon sword merged into one, a natural killer, born to kill. As for Kai Tong, his strength has not changed much. The only change is that Conqueror's Haki's level finally breaks through to Advanced. After all, Shitong just broke through to the Admiral level in the last operation. In this short period of time, he has been consolidating his own strength. But it was life that surprised Nugate. Name: Edward, Life. Age: 17 years old. Potential: S+. Power: A+ rank. Speed: Class A+. Energy: Class A+. Body grade: A+. Combat skills: Top Observation Haki Advanced Armament Haki Advanced Swordsmanship Gravity Knife Tiger Hell Brigade. Ability: Blind Man with Many Fruits. Evaluation: Once upon a time, there was a top expert who taught his disciples that when you close one eye, your enemies are reduced by half, and you can hear clearly all your life hiding outside the door. After a lifetime of self-destruction, he did not become decadent. Instead, it made him focus more on improving his strength. Advertisement: so in just a few months, his strength has soared. Having broken through to the peak of the Vice Admiral level, even the Admiral level is only one step away. Moreover, Nugate has talked with Yisheng, and his observation haki has abilities that are different from others. His observation haki has a wider range, and his perception of the surrounding environment is clearer. Although I lost my eyes, but it hardly affects normal life throughout life. But, although the strength of these children of my own has improved quite a lot. But none of this is Newgate's confidence in this success. Even if Tsunade already has your martial level strength, it is still not the source of Newgate's confidence. Newgate's real strength is Artoria, name, Edward Artoria. Age, 15 years old, potential, S+, power, S+ rank. Speed, S+ class, energy, S+ level, body level, S+. Combat skills, top swordsmanship, riding, intuitive magic, release of leadership temperament 8 inner gates formation. Weapon, the sword of promise of victory. Ability, heart of the red dragon. Evaluation, silly hair is the real body, a very edible silly hair. You read that right, Artoria has learned 8 inner gates formation. To be honest, seeing the process of Artoria contacting 8 inner gates formation made Newgate envious. Because it is so unreasonable, Artoria relies on the existence of a distant utopia. So I don't worry about dying at all. When practicing 8 inner gates formation, it was completely reckless. It doesn't matter whether it's an open door or a dead door. Just use magic power to rush away. So after a month of crazily using 8 inner gates formation, Artoria's 8 inner gates formation, Qian Zhao's proficiency is now frighteningly high. It has reached the level of opening the 7th gate in seconds. And with the improvement of proficiency, Artoria now relies on the resilience of the distant utopia. It has been able to maintain this form for a long time. Even when the 8th gate was opened, Artoria was able to continue fighting for half an hour. This was the real basis for Newgate's action, especially when I recall the state when Artoria opened the 8th gate of death. There was only one thought in Newgate's mind, and that was horror, very terrifying. In that state of Artoria, Newgate could no longer clearly see her strength. Moreover, the space was distorted with every move, as if a god descended to earth. Marineford is here, however. Just when Newgate was lost in thought, suddenly a pirate shouted. When Newgate heard this, his eyes flashed. The battle was about to begin. Chapter 63. The wind is a bit noisy today, Marineford. In the marshal's office, Kong had a headache at this time. Because of the Rock's pirate, a large number of troops were mobilized. As well as the documents he needed to deal with, Sora hadn't had a good rest for a long time. And, recently, various world government member countries have begun to hand over heavenly gold, which also gives Kong some headaches. After all, in the past, when these world government member countries handed over heavenly gold, they relied on their own country's military escort. But, this year, due to the crazy actions of the Rock's pirate, 69 world government member countries were destroyed. As a result, the world government directly lost 69 pieces of Tianjin's financial revenue. Therefore, 5 elders is particularly concerned about handing over heavenly gold this year. Not only did the world government send troops to escort Tianshongjin, Marine also sent out a large number of troops. Originally, a lot of people had been sent out to protect the countries joining the world government, and now they still have to send people to escort the heavenly gold. As a result, Marineford now only has 2 or 3 large and small kittens. The only 2 stronger ones left were Garp and Sora. Suddenly a gust of cold wind blew by, pushing open the ajar window, and the cold wind rushed in directly. Kong tightened his tight marine coat, turned to look at the gloomy sky outside the window, and said in a deep voice, "The wind is a bit noisy today." The streets looked a bit deserted because of the large number of marine soldiers going out to perform tasks. It also seemed to be eerily quiet, as if it were the eve of a storm. There seemed to be a depressing atmosphere in the air. Why do you always feel like something bad is happening? Bang bang bang. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, countless cannonballs landed in the town of Marineford, and a violent explosion sounded in Kong's shocked eyes. Enemy attack. This word immediately popped into Sora's mind. Suddenly I also felt a numbness in my scalp, because Marineford's troops are empty at this time. If you encounter an enemy attack at this time, you may suffer heavy losses. Advertisement, but who dares to take action against Marineford at this time? Chicken, ha 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 ha. Just when Sora was still thinking about who would take action, a terrifying conqueror's haki instantly enveloped the entire Marineford. A moment. The terrifying conqueror's haki impact directly caused all Marine soldiers below the Vice Admiral level to lose consciousness and faint. Even some weak Vice Admirals were crumbling under the terrifying impact of Conqueror's haki, as if they might lose consciousness at any time, BGCF. However, although he did not lose consciousness, he obviously lost the ability to fight. Rocks. Calm's pupils shrank. This terrifying guy was the only one in the world who had such a Conqueror's haki. However, after knowing that the person who came was Rocks, Shen's heart suddenly sank to the bottom. No, you must notify the 5 elders immediately. Sora reacted and immediately dialed the 5 elders' phone number. What did you say? The angry voice of the 5 elders came from the phone bug. Rocks attack Naval Headquarters Marineford. Sora immediately repeated his words. We must hold on. We will immediately notify all admirals to go to support. Marine is the hard work of the world government and we must not let him destroy Naval Headquarters. The voice of orders immediately came from the phone bug. Yes. Sora responded, then hung up the phone and disappeared instantly. And 5 elders here. What does that guy from Rocks want to do? What does attacking Naval Headquarters mean to him? The 5 elders said angrily. This time is exactly the time when the heavenly gold is handed over. It seems that Rock's goal is probably the heavenly gold. The bald 5 elders held his chin in thought. Bump. Damn it. This is a conspiracy. The 5 elders with horned beards slapped the table heavily and said angrily. Even if we know that their target is the gold in the sky, we can't take action now. After all, Marine is the hard work of our world government over the years, and it cannot be compared to a mere year's worth of gold. Give the order. Notify all Admiral-class people to go to the Naval Headquarters as quickly as possible to provide support. Rocks must not be allowed to destroy the Naval Headquarters. The bald 5 elders said in a deep voice. Advertisement. As the 5 elders' orders were issued, the soldiers below also quickly notified all the Admiral-level experts to head to the Naval Headquarters as quickly as possible. The Admiral class who received the notification immediately headed to the Naval Headquarters as quickly as possible. Unconsciously, Rock's pirate has grown into a giant. The bearded 5 elders said in a deep voice. He's just a trash pirate. What are you worried about? The 5 elders said disapprovingly. We have been led by him, from the time he attacked the World Government Alliance countries to now the attack on Marineford. If we don't pay attention to it, we will definitely regret it. Bearded 5 elders stared at the Afro 5 elders seriously and said. 5 elders didn't say anything more this time, because now that I think about it, it is indeed the case. Report. At this time, a soldier suddenly rushed in anxiously and said breathlessly. There is news from Naval Headquarters that Rock's Black Pearl and Whitebeard's Moby D*K are less than 1 nautical mile away from Marineford. Whitebeard's Moby D*K is here too. Then Marineford will not only face Rocks, but also those terrifying guys from the Whitebeard pirates. Suddenly, the temperature in the 5 elders' conference room seemed to have dropped a few degrees. A burst of heroic spirit instantly went from 5 elders' tailbone to Tinling Guy. Several people looked at each other and immediately understood what the other person was thinking. That lies in the strength of Rocks. Others don't know it, but the 5 elders know that Rox's strength has already surpassed the martial level. That is to say, it has reached the king level, although it is only the first time to enter the king level. But compared to the martial level in terms of strength, it is only half as powerful. If Rox wants to escape, no amount of admiral levels can keep him alive. If a guy with such strength really just wants to attack Naval Headquarters to divert attention and create opportunities for others, there is no need to bring Whitebeard with him. In other words, if given the chance, this guy Rox will definitely destroy the entire Marineford without hesitation. Hiss. 5 elders suddenly took a breath and said, no. There's no way they can stop Rox just by relying on Sora, Garp and Sengoku. I'll go. At this time, the bald 5 elders had already begun to rub first-generation Kitetsu in their arms, and said in a deep voice. After all, Marine has spent countless efforts of the world government, and it must not be destroyed. Yeah. It's time for the world to see the power of world government again. After all, we are also one of the real trump cards of world government. Upon hearing that the bald 5 elders were willing to take action, the other 5 elders nodded in agreement. The bald 5 elders, after carefully wiping the first-generation Oni Tetsu, hung the first-generation Oni Tetsu directly on their waists. Then he walked out of the conference room and disappeared from everyone's sight. Chapter 64 Crush Garp and Sora's Rocks. Rocks. You will definitely not be able to escape today, so let's capture you without mercy. Kong stood on the wall of Marineford, with Garp beside him, and rocks across the water. Chicken ha 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 ha. Come and arrest me if you can. Why is there any need for such nonsense? Rocks burst into laughter upon hearing this. At this time, Rock's purpose has been achieved, attracting Marine's attention. The next step is to hold them back as much as possible to buy time for the others in Rock's pirate. Thinking of Rocks, he put all his strength on his feet and galloped away in the direction of Kong Tilda. Seeing this scene, Sora and Garp immediately threw aside their marine coats and prepared for battle. Bump. Rocks quickly came to Kong and knocked him away with one punch. Garp on the side saw this scene and immediately wrapped armament hockey around his fist and quickly smashed towards Rocks. Rocks reacted immediately and punched Garp's fist. Bump. The fists of the two people collided fiercely, making a violent sound. Seeing that his punch did not directly knock Garp away, Rocks also raised his eyebrows. Looked at Garp with some surprise. First didn't expect Marine to have a guy as strong as you. Rocks couldn't help but admire him. Drink ha 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 ha. I broke 3 mountains when I was practicing boxing, just so that I can catch a pirate like you one day. Garp also laughed immediately after hearing this. Amazing. But you are still too young to defeat me. Rocks praised Garp, then turned around and kicked Garp away. Garp adjusted his body in the air and landed next to Sora. What a scary guy. Garp rubbed the spot where Rocks kicked him, and the pain immediately made him grin. Go together, Sora said. Good, Garp responded, and then the two quickly disappeared from the spot, colliding with Rocks. Bump. Boom. Dad. Why don't we help Rocks? Tsunade looked at his dad with some confusion. Because ever since the Rocks fired on Marineford, the Moby D*K has been docked in the distance, with no desire to join the battle. Advertisement. Wait a minute. Rocks can handle it now, so there's no need to waste energy. Newgate shook his head and said, and our purpose is just to attract Marine's attention. We will waste our energy prematurely. We still need to conserve our energy and prepare to leave the battle. Okay. After Newgate's reminder, Tsunade also remembered the purpose of this trip. Rocks is indeed the strongest pirate in the world. Facing Garp and Kong alone, he actually suppressed them both. But for a while, there was no way to defeat them quickly. After all, Garp and Sora have been colleagues for many years, and they work together very well when fighting. Often when Rocks wants to attack one of them with all his strength, the other one will quickly hit Rocks' closed door from Rocks' blind corner. It also made Rocks very annoyed. The close cooperation between the two of them makes Rocks always feel that his power is useless. Like two flies, so annoying. Dark water. Rocks stretched out his hand, and a dark vortex suddenly formed in his hand. A terrifying suction force suddenly came from his hand. Sora, who originally planned to distance himself from Rocks with Garp, suddenly felt a terrifying suction coming from his body and became panicked. What's going on? The body flew towards Rocks uncontrollably. Sora struggled crazily, but to no avail. In a blink of an eye, Sora was in front of Rocks. You can't run away now, can you? Rocks laughed wildly and then raised his fist and punched Kong in the stomach. Bump. Kong, who received a heavy blow to his abdomen, curled up like a braised shrimp. The severe pain prevented him from even screaming. I could only vomit out the acid water in my stomach helplessly. Die to me. As he spoke, the terrifying armament hockey and Conqueror's hockey directly condensed on Rock's fist. Crackling. Streams of black and red lightning burst out from Rock's fist. Even Newgate, who was on the edge of the battlefield, felt the aura of destruction coming from Rock's fist. If this punch really hit Sora, I'm afraid Sora would really be killed in one blow. Fist and bone clash. Suddenly a deep voice sounded from behind Rocks. Even Rox was also surprised, because the anger just now made him focus completely on Sora. He actually forgot that there was a more powerful Garp still waiting around. At this time, Garp's attack was about to hit Rox, and looking at the black and red lightning flashing on Garp's fist, it was obvious that Conqueror's Haki was used. If Rox really insists on attacking Sora, this punch will definitely hit Rox. Without defense, even if Rox received this punch, it would definitely be uncomfortable. With no other choice, Rox could only give up the attack and disappeared in a flash. Advertisement Garp Ma Kong had disappeared, and without hesitation, he immediately grabbed Sora, retreated back to the city wall, and distanced himself from Rox. Although he didn't kill Kong, he punched Kong hard in the stomach just now. Please give me flowers. For a while Sora no longer had the ability to fight. Chicken ha 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 ha. Martial Marine is nothing more than that. Seeing Kong who had lost his ability to fight, Rox couldn't help but taunted him. Since you don't fight me, I won't be polite. As he spoke, Rox's body disappeared from the spot and he quickly rushed towards the Marineford building. Although many Marines have already gone out to perform tasks, there are not many warships in the entire naval headquarters. But the buildings in naval headquarters don't get lost. Five Elders' guess was absolutely correct. Rox had had two plans since the beginning. If the resistance received when attacking the naval headquarters is relatively weak, then take this opportunity to destroy the entire naval headquarters. In the eyes of others, this does him no good. After all, he is just a pirate. It's nothing more than wanting some rich women, but Rox's real ambition goes beyond that. For the plan in his mind, he will not miss any opportunity to weaken the world government. Damn it, he must be stopped. Saw the Rox wreaking havoc inside Marineford. Garp immediately decided to take the risk. Powerful people such as Sengoku and the world government CPO are quickly coming to support Marineford. Even if it means death, Rox must be held back. Garp thought and then quickly rushed in the direction of Rox. Fist and bone clash. As soon as Garp came up, he used his strongest move. After all, Rox is not an ordinary person. If he fights with such a terrifying guy and hides him, he is simply seeking death. Do you really think I'm afraid of you, Garp? Overlord Fist? Rox immediately used his strongest move and punched Garp in the direction of Garp. Two fists collide, but the imagined scene of evenly matched stalemates did not appear. Even though Garp's strength is infinitely close to that of a king, he is still only a peak martial level person. In front of a real king-level powerhouse like Rox, there is no way to compete. Garp was punched by Rox and flew out, knocking over several houses before he came to a stop. For a time, smoke and dust were everywhere, and it was unknown whether he was alive or dead. Without Garp to stop him, Rox turned to look at Marineford and suddenly showed a crazy smile. Chapter 65 Bald 5 Elders Izanbalin v Nasthuro Saint. Destroy the naval headquarters, so the success rate of my plan will be higher. Rox showed a smile that showed success. However, just when Rox wanted to continue taking action, a terrifying and suffocating pressure instantly filled Marineford. For a moment, the entire sea seemed to be frozen. The sea had become rough due to the residual power caused by the battle between Rox and Garp in the sky. Under the terrifying pressure, he calmed down instantly. Shock. Rox's eyes were also flashing because his terrifying observation Haki had already detected the direction of the person coming. Rox looked sharply in the direction of Red Line. Shang. Suddenly a loud sword roar sounded. As the sword chant sounded, the surrounding environment instantly seemed to become extremely dark. A terrifying sword light in the darkness cut through the sky like the rising dawn. Instantly slashed towards Rox. The sword light was as fast as lightning, and it arrived in front of Rox in the blink of an eye. Rox didn't say anything, and a wolf with a solemn expression struck the sword in front of him. Bump. Bah. Rox's fist collided with that terrifying sword light. However, a shocking scene occurred. Rox was bombarded by the sword light and retreated continuously. His feet carved two ditches on the ground. It wasn't until Rox's body was pushed back to the edge of Marineford's coast that the sword light disappeared and Rox stopped. Seeing this scene, Newgate was also a little shocked. He didn't expect that the world government would hide such a terrifying guy. Who is it? It is indeed a world government that has existed for 750 years, but it actually has such a trump card. This sudden change shocked Newgate. After all, he had never seen anyone who could compete with Rox in his previous life, although Rox was defeated by Garp and Roger during the Valley of the Gods War. But there is still a certain gap between the two of them and Rox's strength. As for the attack that appears now, it is obvious that the person behind it definitely has the strength to compete with Rox. It seems there is no chance, those old guys have taken action. Rox looked in the direction of Marineford and murmured with some pity. Ta-da, ta-da. With the sound of footsteps, an old man wearing a white robe, bald head, wearing glasses, and holding a samurai sword in his hand slowly entered everyone's sight from a distance. Old guy, you're not dead yet. Advertisement. Rox looked at the visitor and immediately mocked coldly. I forgot that you don't seem to die that easily. Rox, you will regret coming here. The bald five elders looked at Rox and said in a deep voice. The two of them seemed to have known each other for a long time. Saint Izanbalan v Nasthiro. Perhaps I shouldn't call you the financial god of war. I've told you before that I will definitely kill you celestial dragons and replace you. Rox looked at the bald five elders and said angrily. Tell me more about useless fighting. By the way, I haven't fought for a long time since I became a five elders. As the bald five elders spoke, he instantly used the first-generation Kitetsu in his hand to slash out several powerful sword energy. Let's fight. Rox dodged a few sword attacks and then quickly shot towards the bald five elders. Then the two people kept colliding. The speed was so fast that Newgate couldn't even see clearly. Even with Newgate's strength, he could only see two streams of light colliding and entangled. Just a moment. The two streams of light collided for hundreds of rounds. The residual power caused Marineford to tremble. The surrounding sea also surged instantly. Crash. The sound of the rolling waves seemed to be a cheer for the two of them. Izambalan v Nasthiro Sage, Celestial Dragons 5 Elders? The observation hockey owned by Newgate also made Newgate very clearly aware of the communication between Rox and the others. But this content also surprised Newgate. I didn't expect such powerful guys to be celestial dragons. It seems that it is no accident that celestial dragons became the world's nobility. Newgate was a little shocked. Originally, his strength improved rapidly after his rebirth. In addition, several of his children had admiral-level strength, which made Newgate feel a little inflated. After all, he was the only high-end combat power in the Whitebeard pirates in the previous life. You can live happily on the sea, and now not only is he strong, but all his children are also outstanding. Newgate couldn't help but feel that this world could do whatever he wanted. But, now after the appearance of Saint Izanbalan v Nasthiro and his strong strength. Suddenly, Newgate was poured cold water on him. At the same time, he also guessed in his mind. Whether it was me or other pirates in the previous life, no matter how big the trouble was, the five elders did not appear. I wonder if they have any restrictions. In fact, Newgate's guess was correct. The five elders are not only the five powerful people in charge of the world government, but also the guardians of the legendary person. Therefore, it is absolutely impossible for them to leave Malihoa unless necessary. If Rox hadn't come this time with such ferocity and had the momentum to destroy naval headquarters, it would have been impossible for the bald five elders to take action. But, advertisement even so, the five elders only sent one of the bald five elders, and the rest were still handling government affairs in Marijoa and protecting the legendary person. After all, no matter what, that person's safety is the most important. The rest, whether it is marine or world government member countries, is just a pawn in their hands. This discovery made Newgate secretly happy. Fortunately, he was not too arrogant. At the same time, it also sounded a wake-up call for Newgate. After all, the world is so big, and it's hard to say whether there are any powerful people hiding in the darkness. Dark cave path. Rox roared angrily and instantly created a dark hole on the ground. Suddenly, a terrifying attraction sucked everything around him towards that location. Little tricks. Demon slaying. The bald five elders glanced disdainfully, and then slashed out a terrifying sword energy. The dark acupuncture point was also cut in half instantly and dissipated in the air. The two stopped again and looked at each other from a distance. At this time, the bald five elders have turned into a half-man, half-animal appearance, covered with unknown scales. And judging from the aura erupting from the bald five elders, it is obvious that the bald five elders is also a user with the ability of the phantom beast species devil fruit. I just don't know what kind of devil fruit the other party is. Boom. Boom. And just when Rox and the bald five elders were staring at each other warily, suddenly two loud voices sounded. It was Garp and Sora, who had recovered after taking a rest. So he instantly exploded the building ruins that hit him, and ducked to the side of the bald five elders. Lord Izanbalin v Nasthuro. Kong saw the bald five elders and immediately bowed respectfully. When Garp came to the side of the bald five elders, he pretended not to see the five elders and stood aside picking his nose. Seeing this scene, the bald five elders didn't say anything. After all, he also knew Garp's character. But as long as he can use it for himself, such small things don't matter. Originally, Rox and the bald five elders were evenly matched, and neither could do anything to the other in a short period of time. But, with the recovery of Garp and Sora, the balance of victory on the battlefield suddenly began to tilt in the direction of the bald five elders. After all, Sora has a martial level strength, and Garp has a strength that is infinitely close to the king level in 5.2. Even Rox became cautious instantly. I'll leave the Tsunade ship to you, Artoria, let's go. Seeing this scene, Newgate also knew that it was time for him to take action. If you still rely on Rox alone at this time, you will definitely be at a disadvantage, or even get injured. Although Rox can definitely escape if he wants to. But the plan to destroy naval headquarters has been ruined, and now it is necessary to ensure the success of the plan to seize the Sky Gold. So we must buy more time. Newgate had no choice but to take action at this time. Leave it to me, Dad. Tsunade also nodded after hearing this. Then Newgate and Artoria disappeared in an instant. Chapter 66 Artoria's Battle. Whoosh, as two sounds of landing sounded, two figures instantly appeared next to Rox. It was Newgate and Artoria. Whitebeard, you're here too, Garp said with a smile as soon as he saw Newgate's figure. Gula la la la, after all, I am the second captain of Rox Pirate. Newgate laughed loudly after hearing this. Sora on the side immediately shrank his pupils when he saw Newgate and Artoria appearing. Because he had no impression of the man next to Newgate. And looking at the girl next to Newgate, it is obvious that she is Newgate's subordinate, maybe his daughter. But, he clearly remembered Newgate's powerful subordinates, such as Tsunade and the others. After all, he decided the amount of the reward for those people. But, he had no recollection of the girl who now appeared next to Newgate. And in this situation, he took her into the battlefield. It was obvious that his strength could never be weak. This guy. Kong suddenly felt a headache looking at Newgate's huge body, and he vaguely felt that Newgate might be more difficult to deal with than Rox in the future. The moment this idea appeared, even Kong himself was startled, but he immediately shook his head and focused his attention on the battle in front of 16. Rox and the bald five elders don't care at all about the changes around them. Even the appearance of Newgate and Artoria did not attract their attention. The two of them were staring at each other closely from beginning to end, and as soon as the other party made a move, they would attack as quickly as possible. The two people in the middle of the field were still staring at each other closely. Sudden. Both people disappeared instantly. Immediately afterwards, the two men appeared on the wall of Marineford. Constantly colliding. The two people turned into two streams of light again, constantly shuttling and colliding on the wall. Bump. Boom. Wherever it passed, all the walls collapsed. Whitebeard won't let you go this time. Let's capture you without mercy. Watch the move. Iron Fist. As the battle between Rox and the bald five elders started again, Garp immediately attacked in the direction of Newgate at the fastest speed. The terrifying armament hockey was condensed in his right fist, and he hit Newgate hard. In an instant, he was in front of Newgate. Dang Kang. Advertisement however, at this moment, Artoria didn't know what was blocking Newgate. He directly blocked Garp's attack with the Sword of Victory. The fist and sword collided and instantly made a huge sound of gold and iron. Who are you? Seeing a little girl blocking him, Garp immediately became interested and asked. Daddy's daughter. Edward Artoria. As a knight, when others asked her name, Artoria reported her name without hesitation. Edward Artoria. Why would you want to become that hateful pirate if you are such a cute girl? Although Garp hates celestial dragons, he still hates pirates more than pirates. Hearing this, Artoria did not answer Garp's words, but stared at him sharply. Just let me wake you up, I won't hold back this time. Garp's aura surged as he spoke, and his peak martial level strength suddenly burst out. Artoria did not show any weakness at all, her skin turned red, and then a green airflow instantly enveloped her whole body. 8 inner gates formation. The 5th gate opens. 1. Artoria opened the 5th gate without hesitation at all. As Duman started, Artoria's momentum also increased crazily. It didn't stop until her momentum reached a level comparable to that of Garp. Peak martial level. Even though Garp was a careless man, he was a little embarrassed when he saw Artoria's explosive fighting power. How outrageous! Why have admiral level or martial level people become so common since meeting Newgate? But he didn't have much time to think, because Artoria had already rushed over with her big sword. Bang bang bang. Dang kang. The two people's voices collided rapidly. One uses a sword and the other uses a fist. The sword light flashed and the wind roared. For a while, the two of them were playing indistinguishably, evenly matched. As the battle between Garp and Artoria began, Newgate also struggled with Sora. Before this battle started, Newgate had already arranged that Garp would be handed over to Artoria while he would deal with Kong. After all, Artoria, who can open the 7th gate without taking any damage and can also use the 8th gate, has surpassed Newgate in terms of overall strength. So it would be more appropriate to leave it to her to deal with Garp. After all, even though Carter forcibly opened the 5th gate, he still had the ability to fight Garp. But the aftermath was so severe that Newgate didn't want to experience it again. Kong's strength is much worse than that of Garp. He is just an ordinary martial. And Newgate's power has grown to martial level, coupled with his shock fruit ability, not to mention defeating Kong, but entangling him will definitely be no problem. Advertisement, empty shock, Kong, bump. Newgate and Sora also tried their best to use their abilities to fight with each other. Return to Artoria and Garp. Because armament hockey and observation hockey, Artoria has not reached the top level of training, so during the battle, Artoria relies on her own intuition and magic power to fight. Although the range of intuition is not as wide as the range of observation hockey. But Artoria's intuition is that she has the ability to predict the future. She can predict the attacks that will attack her in the future within a short period of time. In this case, Artoria almost dodged or defended all of Garp's attacks. Review. Although Garp had tried his best in the face of Artoria's future predicting and terrifying swordsmanship, he was still attacked from time to time. But, fortunately, Garp's armament hockey was strong enough, so he never suffered any injuries. No, we can't go on like this. I'm afraid I'm going to lose over time. Garp stared at Artoria with some solemnity, and he really started thinking non-stop in his heart. And Artoria didn't know what Garp was thinking, even though their strength was not much different. Those with stronger skills will have the upper hand. And this is the case with Artoria now. So Artoria only needs to suppress Garp and wait for an opportunity to give him a fatal blow. The two of them stared at each other with their own evil intentions, looking for each other's flaws. Sudden. A flash of light flashed in Garp's mind. She won't conqueror's entanglement. As soon as this idea appeared in Garp's mind, Garp immediately looked at Artoria with a smirk on his face. Then don't blame me. Fist and bone clash. Garp's fist was instantly entangled with armament hockey and conqueror's hockey, and threads of black-red lightning suddenly burst out from his fist. Conqueror's haunting again. Artoria saw the black and red lightning bursting out of Garp's fist, and a smile suddenly appeared on her face. 8 inner gates formation. The 6th gate is open. Suddenly, Artoria's momentum rose again. Although she did not break through the martial level limit, she became a little stronger. Without any hesitation, Artoria raised the sword of victory and collided with Garp. Ah! Ah! The terrifying power of the two people was constantly colliding, and the ground under their feet was shaking and shattering. After the smoke cleared, the two stood looking at each other. So strong. This idea came to both of them at the same time. Chapter 67 Crisis. Surrounded by, come again. Good. The two looked at each other, and then quickly rushed towards each other again. The two fought together again. Bang bang bang. Boom boom boom. Suddenly there was a violent sound of artillery, and countless shells were fired in the direction of the Moby D*K. Shadow Thorn. With a low shout, countless shadow spikes suddenly appeared in the direction of each cannonball. The shadow spikes directly penetrated the cannonballs, and all the cannonballs exploded violently in the air. This violent sound instantly attracted the attention of everyone present. Looking in the direction from which the sound came, warships were already rushing towards Marineford one after another. Looks like you can leave today. Rocks. The bald five elders also noticed those warships and couldn't help but jeered. Chicken ha 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 ha. I really want to leave, can you stop me? Rocks couldn't help but asked. Hearing this, the bald five elders stopped talking, because they couldn't stop them at all. If one of them really wanted to escape, there was no way they could keep him at the same level. But the bald five elders suddenly seemed to remember something. You can leave, but where is Edward Newgate? And where are his men? Chicken ha ha ha. After hearing this, Rocks laughed as if he had heard something very funny, and then said with praise. Edward Newgate is getting stronger and stronger, and he has more and more powerful subordinates. Rocks stopped before he finished speaking, but the meaning he expressed was self-evident. It was clear that Rocks was wary of Newgate. This operation is almost considered a success so far. After all, it is slowly surrounding the marine warship. Apparently those admirals have returned. And he, Rocks, can run away at any time if he wants to. As for Edward Newgate, whether he can survive or not depends on him. Looking at more and more marine warships around him, Tsunade on the Moby D*K also shrank his pupils. Because in her observation hockey, she had sensed that almost every one of the surrounding warships had powerful people on board, at least those of the Vice Admiral class, and there were also many Admiral class ones. Fire. Don't let a pirate escape. At this time, a familiar voice came from the warship closest to Moby D*K. Country. No, we have to find a way. If we continue like this, we will be surrounded by people. Suddenly a light flashed in Tsunade's mind. Sakura, leave the interception of these shells to us. You use all your strength to destroy the surrounding warships. You don't need to destroy them. They only need to destroy their cabins and flood them. Advertisement, good. Sakura nodded when she heard this, and then stopped caring about the flying shells. Without Sakura's restriction, countless cannonballs suddenly flew towards the Moby D*K. However, with the existence of Tsunade's red eyes in life, they're just some cannonballs and cannot threaten the Moby D*K layer. With her hands free, Sakura directly controlled a large number of shadows to form spikes, which quickly penetrated into the surrounding cabins. Suddenly, those warships that were relatively close instantly had a large amount of seawater pouring into the cabins, and they began to slowly sink. Damn pirate. Sengoku on the warship also discovered this situation and was a little angry. Buddha's impact. Sengoku instantly transformed into a golden Buddha and shot it out with one palm. Suddenly an air cannon rushed towards the Moby D*K quickly. Strange power. The air cannon was in front of the Moby D*K in an instant. Tsunade also appeared in front of the air cannon in an instant and punched it away. Then the Moby D*K started and sailed into the distance. The warship that had already entered the water was powerless to pursue it and could only struggle on the sea. Sengoku, just stay here and take care of yourself. Looking at the immobile warship, Tsunade couldn't help but mock. Damn pirate. I'm so angry, Sengoku roared angrily, but to no avail. Those admirals have returned. It seems they are preparing to escape. Newgate also noticed the movement around him and looked at more and more warships in his sight. Newgate knew that this time the plan was completed and it was time to evacuate. Time to stop. With a thought in Newgate's mind, Shockfruit's ability was immediately activated, and a strange wave instantly enveloped Sora's whole body. For a moment, Sora stopped right there as if the pause button had been pressed. Newgate also took advantage of this moment to quickly distance himself from Kong and rush towards the direction of the Moby D*K. Artoria is out of the battle and preparing to retreat. When passing near Artoria, Newgate called out to Artoria. Artoria nodded when she heard this, and then pointed the sword of victory in her hand directly at Garp. Excalibur. As Artoria's voice fell, a golden beam of light was immediately released directly from the end of the sword of victory. He quickly blasted towards Garp. Boom. Advertisement. The golden light beam directly hit Garp's body, causing a violent explosion. A large amount of dazzling light also enveloped the entire place. The thick smoke and dazzling light caused by the explosion made Garp unable to see everything in front of him. When the smoke and light dissipated, Artoria's figure had disappeared. After a while, Newgate and Artoria returned to the Moby D*K. "How's it going?" Newgate asked, looking at Tsunade. "Not good. Marineford is almost surrounded by people," Tsunade said with a slight frown. Although just now Tsunade asked Sakura to destroy some warships, causing some warships to break down. But there are still many other warships around, and more warships are still coming to support here in a steady stream. "Where's the Black Pearl? Cooperate with them and we'll tear a hole open with artillery fire," Newgate said immediately. "The Black Pearl has already left." Tsunade heard this and shook his head and said, "While Rox was fighting." Newgate was also shocked when he heard this, because at that time, his attention was on Rox's battle. So he had no idea when the Black Pearl left. "Rox, I can't believe it anymore." Newgate's mood suddenly became depressed. "Although I had known for a long time that Rox could not be trusted, I never expected that he would trick me at this time. Could it be because you are afraid of my strength?" Newgate was lost in thought. It's all because of Newgate's habitual thinking. At first, he saw Rox coming with the Black Pearl. Zhao, who was gone, just thought the Black Pearl would also stay and wait for Rox. In this case, when it comes time to evacuate, it will be easier to break out with the help of Rox. But, unexpectedly, Rox would let the Black Pearl leave on its own. It was obvious that Rox would not fight here anymore. Even when retreating, he would not stay to help himself. And not only will he not help himself, but he will abandon himself without hesitation. "In that case, we can only rely on ourselves," Newgate said in a deep voice. Tsunade immediately rushed towards the nearest encirclement to the east. "Leave it to me to tear apart the encirclement. Just keep the Moby D*K moving forward." Yes. Upon hearing this, Tsunade immediately took action. He began to turn the ship's bow and rushed toward the nearest encirclement. Chapter 68 Red Arrogance, So Scary, book next time. Seeing the large number of warships in the encirclement, Tsunade couldn't help but break out a cold sweat on his forehead. "Daddy!" Tsunade shouted anxiously. "Here it comes, leave it to me." 8 inner gates formation. The 5th gate opens. As Newgate's voice fell, his huge body was instantly wrapped in a stream of green air, and his skin became extremely red. His strength instantly soared to the peak level of martial. Hiss. Great strength comes with a heavy burden on the body. Feeling the pain coming from his body, Newgate couldn't help but take a breath. "We must hurry up, otherwise the sequelae will still be serious," Newgate murmured secretly, and then looked sharply towards the direction of the Moby D*K. Sequake. As Newgate's voice sounded, Newgate punched forward heavily. Suddenly, the terrifying power from Newgate's body poured out instantly. This move contains all of Newgate's power, even in his past life and now. These are the strongest sea earthquakes he has ever used. Crackling. There was a burst of shattering sounds, and the air around Newgate's fist could not withstand Newgate's full blow, and it shattered like glass in an instant. Crash. Immediately afterwards, the surrounding sea level dropped by a few centimeters 360, and suddenly a huge wave with a height of 1,000 meters appeared in front of the Moby D*K. He took a photo in the direction of the encirclement. The sailors on the warship were stunned when they saw this scene, staring blankly at the huge waves that suddenly appeared. "Is this a miracle?" countless people murmured, but soon their eyes instantly turned to fear. If this huge wave really hit the warship, everyone present would definitely be dead. "Run!" I don't know who shouted, and everyone on each warship reacted instantly and immediately drove the warship away from the huge waves. Crash. The huge waves kept rushing forward. Crash. Crash. Boom. Finally, the huge wave hit the original encirclement location hard. Advertisement. Suddenly the water splashed, waves rushed outward one after another, and countless Uzumaki were formed in an instant. Several warships that had no time to evacuate were instantly bitten by Uzumaki, swallowed bit by Uzumaki, and disappeared into the sea. The originally airtight encirclement was also torn open by a huge hole under this blow. The Moby D*K did not miss this opportunity and quickly rushed through the gap. The surrounding warships saw this scene and wanted to surround them immediately, but it was too late. The direction in which the giant wave moves is only in the middle, which is safer. Due to the spread of power on both sides, there are particularly many Uzumaki. And even when encountering Uzumaki, Newgate used Shock Fruit's ability to calm it down, and all the Moby Dicks successfully broke through unimpeded. The breakout was successful. Seeing that the Moby D*K had successfully broken through, Tsunade's tense face finally showed a smile. Hoo ho ho. Seeing that the Moby D*K had broken through, Newgate immediately closed the door. A feeling of exhaustion suddenly surged into his heart, causing Newgate to breathe heavily. Although it doesn't take long to open, but the move High Gen made just now almost used up all his energy. Go full speed forward. Return. Before Newgate finished speaking, a terrifying and depressing sense of oppression suddenly came from behind the Moby D*K. Chicken ha 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 ha. You guys walk slowly and I'll go ahead and clear the obstacles for you. Rox said with a mean smile, and then he quickly passed over the Moby D*K and struck into the distance. Damn guy. Looking at Rox walking away, Newgate cursed in his heart. This guy just wanted to escape on his own, but actually led the enemy to their side. Sure enough, Locke was already afraid of Chong. After Rox escaped, the pressure behind Moby D*K did not disappear but got closer and closer. I can't stay with that Rox guy, but for the sake of the dignity of world government, none of you can even think of running away today. The angry voices of the bald five elders sounded. Run. Gula lala. Then Newgate, who heard this sentence, was not afraid at all, but laughed. Ah, BGDB, Artoria, hit him with an electric cannon with all your strength. Newgate said confidently. Artoria responded and then came to the stern of the Moby D*K. 8 inner gates formation. The 7th gate opens in surprise. Artoria's current proficiency in 8 inner gates can only support her to instantly open the 7th gate. Artoria's whole body turned blood red, and the sweat on her body was instantly evaporated, forming a fist of blue air. The aura on his body keeps rising, from the peak general level, to the junior marshal level, to the marshal level, to the peak marshal level. Advertisement in her momentum has not stopped yet, and she continues to move towards a higher level. However, in the end, he still did not break through to the king level, but was infinitely close to the king level. However, Artoria did not stop moving. She placed her right hand on the position of her heart and roared. 8 inner gates formation. The 8th gate of death is open. As Artoria's voice fell, the world suddenly seemed to become quiet. The surrounding sounds suddenly became silent, so quiet that you could hear the sound of a steel needle falling to the ground. Sudden, peefed. A violent sound of airflow sounded, and a blood-red flame instantly burst out from Artoria's body. It is the blood-colored flame that will be generated after the 8 inner gates formation's death door is opened. This is caused by a large amount of evaporation of blood. Buzz. The momentum that had been stagnant rose crazily again at the moment the 8th gate was opened. He didn't stop until he finally broke through to the first king level. The system opens Artoria's attribute panel, Newgate said secretly in his heart. Name. Edward Artoria. Age. 15 years old. Potential. SSS level, death door state. Power. SSS level, death door state, speed. SSS level, death door state. Energy. SSS level, death door state, body level. SSS, death door state. Combat skills. Advanced Conqueror's hockey top swordsmanship riding intuitive magic releases leadership temperament. Weapon. The Sword of Promise of Victory. Ability. Heart of the Red Dragon. Evaluation. The stupid hair is the real body, and the Japanese can only eat it to keep the tail. The power of the 8 inner gates is really terrifying. Artoria, who is only at the peak of the Admiral level, actually broke through from the Admiral level to the first level King level after opening the Death Gate. Ah! After opening the 8th gate, Artoria cried out in pain. If someone could observe the situation inside Artoria's body, they would find that a large amount of blood on her body was evaporated, and then instantly recovered under the influence of the distant utopia. Her heart was also burned and recovered instantly. Going back and forth like this made Artoria suffer terrible pain. What? X2. Feeling this terrifying aura, Rox and the bald five elders who were not far away immediately screamed out. He looked at the petite figure wrapped in blood-red aura with a look of disbelief. Chapter 69 The Youth of That Sword. Thank you for your $$ monthly support. I love your author. The following text. That little girl actually has the strength to become a king for the first time? The bald five elders looked at Artoria, who was completely covered in red aura, with shocked expressions. Although the other party looks very painful, it is obvious that he relied on external forces to improve his strength to the first king level. But there are many people who can possess martial level strength. Why are there so few people who can break through to the king level? It is precisely because the gap between the martial level and the king level is like a natural chasm. Otherwise, why after so many years, only Rox has reached that level? The bald five elders also knew it in their own hearts, if it weren't for some special reason. The five elders, including himself, have no chance of breaking through to the king level. But now there is a 15-year-old girl in front of him with such strength. Although it was forcibly improved by external forces. But, no matter what, this is a real king level. Rox also looked at Artoria in shock. Why do you think Rox dares to be so crazy? That's because he is confident enough in his own ability. In this sea for hundreds of years, few people with his strength have appeared. And now one appears. And he was still a subordinate of the guy he once looked down upon. Artoria didn't know what Rox and the bald five elders were thinking. At this moment, Artoria just wanted to happily give the bald five elders an electric cannon. After all, despite the existence of the ability to distant utopia, Artoria will not die. But that really hurts. Artoria didn't hesitate at all, and immediately raised the sword of victory in her hand high. Immediately afterwards, the terrifying energy all over his body quickly surged towards the sword of vow to victory. It was converted into light energy by the sword of oath of victory and condensed in the sword of oath of victory. But, at this time, what was emitting from the sword of vow to victory was not the usual golden light, but blood red. As the magic power continued to pour in, the blood red light on the sword of vow to victory became more intense. Under the blood red light, everything around him looked so weird. Unknowingly, the originally rough sea gradually calmed down, like a huge mirror. The calm sea reflected the blood-colored light, as if it had turned into an abyss filled with blood. Advertisement. The sudden influx of energy seemed to have reached ultimate, and the sword of victory was brighter than ever. Excalibur. Artoria's eyes opened instantly and she slashed at the bald five elders with the sword of victory in her hand. As expected of Artoria in her 8-gate state, the sword of victory vowed in her hand was struck anew at the moment. The space wherever he passed seemed to be distorted. For a moment, everything around him seemed to dim, and all that could be seen was the huge sword that was shining with red light. Boom! As a roar sounded, a blood-red light beam suddenly struck towards the bald five elders. In a blink of an eye, the terrifying blood-red energy beam has arrived in front of the bald five elders. Ah! Demon King kill! Facing the blood-red light pillar that was already close at hand, the bald five elders immediately burst out with all their strength. Whether it's armament hockey, conqueror's hockey, or brute force, it's all poured out in an instant. The bald five elders felt scared for the first time, because after being transformed by that legendary person, they never experienced this feeling of living again. Bump! Boom! The blood-red energy beam directly hit the bald five elders. A violent explosion occurred instantly. The explosion point instantly turned into a blood-red ball of light, like a small sun. The ball of light lasted for a while before dissipating, revealing the figure of the bald five elders. At this time, the bald five elders had long lost the high spirits they had at the beginning. His whole body was covered with wounds, large and small. Even his right arm holding the knife was hanging down weakly at this time. I didn't have the energy to continue to maintain moonwalk, so I found a warship and landed there. Sir, is everything okay? As soon as the bald five elders landed, Marine rushed over to help him. The bald five elders waved their hands and rejected Marine's offer. Instead, he stared solemnly in Artoria's direction. Then under Marine's shocked gaze, the body of the bald five elders was recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. The recovery speed is not even worse than Artoria's. This is... Newgate also noticed the changes in the bald five elders, and suddenly thought, it seems that the five elders are not as simple as they appear. I just don't know if his ability was brought about by the phantom beast devil fruit or by the surgery? Newgate touched his chin and thought, the world government still hides a lot of secrets. If I have the chance, I have to figure it all out bit by bit, Newgate thought to himself. It had only been a few minutes since the bald five elders was injured. Advertisement at this time, his injured right arm had completely recovered. Dad, Artoria has closed the 8 inner gates and arrived at Newgate's side. Please give me flowers. Let's go. Seeing that the surrounding Marines had no desire to stop him, Newgate also asked the Moby D*K to speed up and leave the sea. After driving for a while, Newgate discovered the Black Pearl in a sea area not far from Marineford. At this time, Rox has returned to the Black Pearl. Goo la la la. Long time no see, Captain. When Newgate saw Rox, he immediately said to Rox with a half smile. Long time no see, Rox responded awkwardly. After all, even if he didn't help during the breakout, he even lured the bald five elders over. I never thought they would end like this. Who knew that little girl had such terrifying strength? Under the full explosion, he actually has real king-level strength. Zero recalling the beauty of Artoria's sword, Rox was also slightly distracted. Don't forget the reward you promised me, Captain, Newgate said, and then the Moby D*K set sail again, heading towards the Sabodi archipelago, preparing to code and return to the Beehive Island. Rox was also stunned when he heard this, because Newgate did not turn his back directly, but said that he could still obey Rox's orders as long as the price was right. Chicken ha ha ha. Don't worry, I promise you that I will never leave you behind. Although Rox's behavior was quite unjust, the other party did not need to help him break out of the encirclement. After all, from beginning to end, the two of them were just using each other. And using Rox's name to make crazy money is his main purpose of joining Rox's pirate. Especially after discovering the strength of the five elders, Newgate became more and more cautious about world government. Moreover, Newgate also knew exactly what Rox wanted to do, and as time went by, the Valley War is also getting closer. Rox is nothing more than a dying man. There is no need to vent your anger on a dying person. It's better to make more money and collect devil fruit while he is still alive, which is the most important thing. And it has the Rox to attract the attention of world governments. Even if the world governments now know about their threats, they can't take action against them. Just gave myself time to develop crazily. Chapter 70 After the War, Attention Five Elders. Thank you Little Arlong for your monthly support. I love your author. The following text Sabodi Archipelago is not far from Marineford, so it only took 2 hours to arrive at Sabodi Archipelago. The old rule is still to find a group of coding craftsmen to start work at the same time, which can greatly save time. But, after all, coding is a complicated process, and the more people, the better. So even the fastest time would take about a week. Although Sabodi Archipelago is Marco's hometown, it has just experienced a war after all. No one has the desire to hang out and play, especially Newgate and Artoria. Newgate's reason was that his body could not bear the burden brought by the 8 inner gates formation. After all, his physical level is too low compared to his strength. This time, in order to create a huge tsunami, they broke through the encirclement and forcibly opened the 5th gate of the 8 inner gates formation. The sequelae were even greater than the last time. After all, Newgate's strength level, 903, has increased a lot, but his physical level has not improved, so the burden on his body has become even greater. And Artoria was also a little weak after using 8 inner gates. After all, Artoria opened the 8th gate of death. Although under the influence of the distant ideal land, there were no physical sequelae. But, mentally, he felt quite depressed. After all, after starting 8 gate, a large amount of blood in the body will be burned and evaporated, but it will instantly recover to the waste level under the influence of the distant utopia. The same goes for the heart, because it cannot withstand the terrifying power brought by 8 Gate. The heart will be gradually scorched, but the distant utopia will make the heart feel as good as before again. This keeps repeating. You must know that the consequence of this is that Artoria needs to endure tremendous pain. So, after arranging everything, Newgate and Artoria returned to the room and fell asleep. Compared to the tranquility on the Moby D*K. At this time, there was an explosion in the meeting room of the 5 elders in Malihoa. Bump. Advertisement explosive 5 elders slapped the table hard in anger. Under his terrifying power, a corner of the table was knocked off by him. A total of 103 world government member countries have had their heavenly gold plundered. The naval headquarters building was seriously damaged and 3 warships were scrapped. What a shame! What a shame! When has the world government ever been so embarrassed? Explosive 5 elders was really angry. He didn't expect that the Rocks pirate, whom he looked down upon, would cause the world government to lose so much. Clam down. The bald 5 elders looked at the afro-headed 5 elders displeased. Because he had just returned from the battlefield and knew that Rock's plan had been successful, he was not too excited after learning the news. It's just some money. Compared to the world government's accumulation, this year's loss of heavenly gold is just a drop in the bucket. The bald 5 elders saw that the other 4 people were overwhelmed with anger, so they said, "The point is that we need to take the Rocks pirates seriously, and we can no longer let them do whatever they want." The explosive 5 elders also nodded after hearing this. After adjusting, he gradually calmed down and thought, "But Rocks is too strong. No one seems to be able to catch him, whether it is Marine or the other teams. Stop him." Everyone fell silent after hearing this. After all, Rock's pirate has now grown into a behemoth. Even if 3 or 5 admirals go there together, they are just delivering food. Maybe we can find ways to divide them. Rock's pirate is not united internally. At this time, the bald 5 elders, who knew about the relationship between Rocks and Newgate, warned. "And we still need a chance to lead Rocks into a trap, and we can even use that weapon if necessary." The bald 5 elders had a sinister look in their eyes. Trap? Hornbeard 5 elders also nodded after hearing this. "Indeed, this is very feasible. Then we need to plan carefully." "There is one more important thing," the bald 5 elders suddenly said. "The Whitebeard pirates need to pay attention," the bald 5 elders said with caution. "Isn't the Whitebeard pirates an affiliate of the Rocks pirate? What should I pay attention to?" the 5 elders said disdainfully. "No." The bald 5 elders shook their heads and said, "The Whitebeard pirates and the Rocks pirate will break up sooner or later. But I think the threat from the Whitebeard pirates may far exceed that of the Rocks pirates." "How can it be?" "You must know that there are many powerful people in the Rocks pirate. Rocks himself has the strength to enter the king level for the first time, and he also has 17 admiral level subordinates. Can the Whitebeard pirates pose a greater threat than him?" Goatee 5 elders said with a look of disbelief. "That's right," the bald 5 elders said with a serious face. "Because of loyalty, it is impossible for those guys in Rocks pirate to fight for Rocks. But the Whitebeard pirates are different. His subordinates are very loyal to him. Even then, it can't be more threatening than Rocks. Jianquan Rock's strength is there." Advertisement. Could it be that? The afro-headed 5 elders originally didn't believe what the bald-headed 5 elders said, but based on his friendship with the bald-headed 5 elders over the years, he knew that he wouldn't be unreasonable. Suddenly a bad idea appeared in his mind. Could it be said that Newgate has broken through to the king level? No. Hearing this, the bald 5 elders immediately shook their heads. "That's good." The 5 elders were relieved when they heard this. But the next words of the bald 5 elders immediately shocked him again. "It was one of his daughters, Artoria, who struck out with a shocking sword that seriously injured me. If it weren't for our current body's terrifying ability to recover, I wouldn't be able to come back." The bald 5 elders inadvertently touched his right arm while speaking. "Now that I think about it, my right arm still hurts a little." "One blow will seriously hurt you, you sure?" At this time, not only the 5 elders with the explosive head couldn't hold back, but the other 5 elders also asked in shock. "That's right." The bald 5 elders nodded. After receiving the affirmation from the bald 5 elders, the remaining few accepted the news. After all, this news is really shocking. Maybe in the future, the Whitebeard pirates will be even more difficult to deal with than the Rocks pirates. But it's useless to worry. At this stage, we must find a way to solve the problem of Rocks. As for the Whitebeard pirates, they just need to pay due attention. Bald 5 elders said. Yeah, the 5 elders with explosive heads also nodded after hearing this. But their bounties must be updated. After all, the bounty rewards of several members of the Whitebeard pirates seem to be unable to keep up with the strength of his 5.9s. Then the 5 elders began to reformulate the bounty for the Whitebeard pirates. While Newgate and his team were still resting in the Sabodi archipelago, newspapers and reward orders began to be sent to the entire world. It immediately caused an uproar in various worlds. For a time, the words Rocks pirate and Whitebeard pirate became almost everyone's talk after dinner. And I don't know if it was intentional by the world government. In the newspaper report, Newgate and Artoria made a big fuss about the attack on naval headquarters. As for Rocks, it was a brushstroke. For a time, Newgate's popularity even vaguely surpassed that of Rocks. Chapter 71 Shocking Reward Order. 4 days later, Newgate was lying comfortably on a deck chair and basking in the sun. From time to time, I would take a sip of the juice prepared by Tsunade, because this time I forced the door open, and I was banned from drinking by Tsunade again. Otherwise, it would be so comfortable if I could bask in the sun and have a sip of wine. Daddy, Daddy. At this time, Marco rushed over and said breathlessly, Dad, look at this. You are famous. Now the newspapers are all about you. Bring it here and let me take a look. Hearing this, Newgate also became interested and reached out to take it. He saw what was written on the newspaper. Edward Newgate attacked naval headquarters and escaped unharmed after an air battle with Marshal Marine. Shocked. Facing Marine's airtight encirclement, Edward Newgate actually escaped unscathed. It's so scary. Edward Artoria and Garp fought for 300 rounds without getting even a single scratch. A shocking sword strike. Artoria actually possesses king-level strength, no less powerful than Rocks, who severely injured 5 elders with one strike. Isn't that right? Dad, you are so awesome, Marco said, looking at Newgate with admiration. Newgate didn't pay attention to Marco when he heard this, but was a little surprised. Because there was something wrong with this newspaper in his opinion. Because this time the newspapers were mainly reporting on himself and Artoria. 16 But the coverage of Rocks is always brushed aside. This is obviously because the world government wants to provoke a conflict between itself and Rocks and make Rocks dissatisfied with itself. Indeed, this move by world government is quite clever. After all, this is the world of pirates. Which captain would want his crew to surpass himself in fame? The master is shocked by his great achievements. Regardless of whether this sentence is used by any force in any world, it is very taboo. But the world government has clearly made the wrong decision. Because the relationship between Newgate and Rocks is not crew and captain at all. They're just using each other. If there is a real conflict of interest, they may even fall out immediately. Newgate looked at the newspaper and didn't care, just when Newgate wanted to throw it aside. Several reward notices slipped out from the middle of the newspaper. Newgate picked it up casually, took a look at it, and burst into laughter. Goo la la la, Marco, you also have a reward. Newgate said with a smile. Really? Let me see. When Marco heard that he finally had a reward, he stretched his head anxiously to take a look. It turns out that in the new bounty order, not only Newgate and several other people with bounties had their bounties increased. Artoria's bounty suddenly soared to the same level as Newgate's. Even Marco, Jinbei and Josie, who have never taken action, all have bounties. Name: Edward Newgate. Advertisement. Title: Whitebeard. Identity: Vice Captain of Rocks Pirate. Evil deeds: Vice Captain of Rocks Pirate. He personally destroyed 5 world government member countries. He was very powerful. He also attacked the naval headquarters and created a terrifying tsunami that destroyed dozens of warships. He committed a heinous crime and did not care whether he lived or died. Bounty: 6.55 billion Baileys. The world government is really using all kinds of dirty tricks to gain traction. Looking at his bounty, Newgate was a little helpless. The bounty was raised to 6.55 billion Belly. It would have been a little more, but the bounty was only 10,000 belly higher than Rock's. Isn't this obviously going to make Rock's angry? I have to say that world government's move is too high. Even if Rock's knew world government's intentions, he would definitely feel uncomfortable. Name: Edward Artoria. Title: Scarlet Knight. Identity: Rock's pirate member. Evil deeds: extremely terrifying strength, participating in the attack on naval headquarters, causing heavy losses to naval headquarters, fighting Garp undefeated, 5 elders seriously injured before being shocked by 10 blows. The biggest evil is the theory of life and death. Bounty: 6.55 billion Baileys. Artoria's bounty is exactly the same as Newgate's, but if Newgate's bounty is for disgusting rocks, then Artoria's bounty is truly worth the price. After all, Artoria's bounties are all earned in real terms. Name: Edward Tsunade. Title: Wei Li. Identity: Rock's pirate member. Evil deeds: members of the Rock's pirate participated in the destruction of 5 world government-affiliated countries, possessed admiral-level strength, participated in the attack on the naval headquarters, and caused heavy losses to the naval headquarters. The crime is so heinous that no one cares about life or death. Bounty: 3,050,000,000 belly. Name: Edward Sakura. Title: Shadow Demon. Identity: Rock's pirate member. Evil deeds: Rock's pirate members participated in the destruction of 5 world government member countries, extremely terrifying executioners, killed countless people, participated in the attack on the naval headquarters, causing heavy losses to the naval headquarters. The crime is so heinous that no one cares about life or death. Bounty: 2.55 billion Baileys. Name: Edward Shatong. Title: Bloodblade. Identity: Rock's pirate member. Evil deeds: members of the Rock's pirate participated in the destruction of 5 world government-affiliated countries, possessed admiral-level strength, participated in the attack on the naval headquarters, and caused heavy losses to the naval headquarters. The crime is so heinous that no one cares about life or death. Bounty: 2.05 billion Baileys. Tsunade, Sakura, and the owner of Red Eyes also received an increase in bounty due to their participation in this operation. Name: Edward. Lifetime. Title: None. Identity: Rock's pirate member. Evil deeds: a member of Rock's pirate, suspected of being a blind man, with ominous strength, and no matter whether he lives or lives for heinous crimes. Bounty: 50 million Baileys. In his lifetime, it was because he did not take action. When the Moby D*K was bombarded, he only took action to block some shells. Advertisement: that's why the bounty is so low. Name: Edward Marco. Title: None. Identity: Whitebeard's adopted son. Evil deed: son of a pirate. Bounty: 250 Baileys. Name: Edward Jinbei. Title: None. Identity: Whitebeard's adopted son. Evil deed: son of a pirate. Bounty: 250 Baileys. Name: Edward Yoja. Title: None. Identity: Whitebeard's adopted son. Evil deed: son of a pirate. Bounty: 250 Baileys. Ah. I only have 250,270 Baileys. After Marco saw his reward order, he ran to the corner and drew a circle with low self-esteem. Goo la la la, Marco, you 3 or 250 haha. Newgate also didn't expect that the bounty given to them by the world government would be 250. Originally, Newgate was a little autistic when he saw Marco, trying not to laugh. After all, even though he was working for the pirates, at least he still had a conscience. I felt a bit guilty for laughing at Marco like this. But, it's so funny that I can't stand it. Forgetting 1 250, it was still 3 250, so I couldn't help but laugh. A little conscience, but not much. No. Marco suddenly stood up from the ground, as if he had made a decision. Dad, I will also participate in the battle next time. Okay. Newgate rubbed Marco's head somewhat gently. And with the exposure of the bounty, it immediately caused an uproar throughout the world. Not only Artoria and Newgate were shocked by the bounties on their heads. He was also shocked by Artoria's strength. After all, it's really amazing that such a cute little girl can be so hard. He can also take out a thick red pillar and stab someone. This is really scary. Chapter 72 New Achievements. Tsunade's Promotion. After sending Marco away, Newgate immediately returned to his room. Because the moment Newgate saw his bounty, a familiar reminder sounded in his mind. Ding! Congratulations to host for completing the achievement. #1 in the world. Do you want to receive the reward? Seeing this achievement, Newgate nodded with understanding. Although his strength has not reached the level of #1 in the world. But, my bounty is indeed the highest bounty in the world. Receive the achievement reward, Newgate said secretly in his heart. Ding! Congratulations to host for successfully receiving the reward for achieving #1 in the world. Ding! Congratulations to host for getting a copy of Senju Clan Sage Body. It has been placed in the system warehouse. Close double angle bracket. Senju Clan Sage Body? Newgate asked with some doubts in his heart. Explain the system. Ding! The Senju Clan Sage Body is the Sage Body from Senju Hashirama. After using the Sage Body, the body level will be greatly improved, the body will become tougher, the amount of chakra will be greatly increased, and the vitality will be greatly increased. The body's recovery ability will also be greatly improved. Close double angle bracket. Note: people from the Senju clan may be pleasantly surprised by using the Senju clan Sage Body. Strong. Too strong. According to the explanation given by the system, even if an ordinary person uses the Sage Body of the Senju clan, his strength will definitely be horribly improved. And what surprises Newgate is that after using Sage Body, the physical level will be greatly improved, and the vitality and healing ability will also be greatly improved. Isn't this what Newgate lacks? Newgate's physical class has always been a drag. As a result, Newgate was unable to fully utilize his strength. Even if the powerful 8 inner gates formation has been mastered for such a long time, it has already reached its limit when it reaches the 5th gate. This is all because the body level is too low. Newgate just wanted to use the Senju clan Sage Body, but the last line in the system's introduction caught Newgate's attention. People from the Senju clan may be surprised if they use the Senju clan Sage Body? Newgate's words felt familiar. Tsunade seems to be from the Senju clan, right? Newgate said with some uncertainty, and then opened Tsunade's attribute panel. Name: Edward Tsunade. Age: 19 years old. Potential: SS. Power: SS class. Speed: S+ class. Energy: SS level. Body level: SS. Combat technique: Top Conqueror's Haki Chakra Refining Technique. Wei Li Pain Tien Jiao Healing Jutsu Chakra Scalpel 100 Healings Mark 100 Healings Mark. Ninja Art: Meiotic Regeneration. Baihao Technique. Weapons: None. Advertisement: Ability: None. Evaluation: a member of the Senju clan whose bloodline has not yet awakened, has good potential, but her life is very unfortunate. Really? Newgate looked at Tsunade's attribute panel, which said that he was not yet a member of the clan. But this left Newgate a bit confused. After all, Sage Body can make up for its shortcomings very well. But, according to the prompts given by the system, if Tsunade is allowed to use this Senju clan Sage Body, the benefits will obviously be greater. It immediately gave Newgate a headache. Forget it, let Tsunade use it. Newgate thought for a long time and finally decided to let Tsunade use this Senju clan immortal. After all, as long as there is a system, you have more opportunities to improve your life level. But, for Tsunade, if she doesn't use it this time, if she wants to get the Senju clan Sage Body again, she doesn't know how long it will take to get it in the year of the monkey, horse and moon. Those who are here, Tsunade is his daughter. Neither he nor Tsunade will suffer any loss if they use this Senju clan Sage Body. Thinking of this, Newgate went out without hesitation and found Tsunade. Dad, what's wrong? Tsunade was also a little confused about suddenly finding his father. Tsunade, I have a potion here. After use, it will awaken the Sage Body of the Senju clan. I want you to use it. Newgate directly explained his purpose. Really? After hearing this, Tsunade couldn't help but get excited. After all, she knew the power of Sage Body. It was with this Sage Body that his grandfather was able to suppress the entire ninja world with one person. The huge-tailed beast looked like a chicken in front of his grandfather. And, Tsunade also vaguely felt that his strength had reached its limit, and it would be extremely difficult to improve it any further. So after I found out that there was a potion that could help me awaken my sage body, I couldn't help but get excited. Without any nonsense, Newgate directly extracted the medicine from the system warehouse and handed it to Tsunade. A tube of emerald green potion exuding the breath of life lay quietly in Newgate's hand. Tsunade was also very happy and wanted to drink it immediately after picking it up. But, suddenly it stopped. "What's wrong?" Newgate asked with some confusion as he looked at Tsunade's movements. "Dad, can anyone who drinks this potion awaken the sage body of the Senju clan?" Advertisement Gosho looked at Newgate and asked. "Uh-huh." Newgate nodded without any doubt. "Then I'll leave it to you, Dad." As he spoke, Tsunade put the potion directly into Newgate's hand and said, "Dad, your body's recovery ability is really poor. If you can awaken the sage body of the Senju clan, you won't need to worry about physical problems in the future." Tsunade. Newgate looked at Tsunade's concerned look and was suddenly moved. "I feel like everything I do is worth it. Gula Lala. Dad, I am Edward Newgate. Even if my body is not strong enough to recover, I can't be dealt with by others. Besides, won't you become stronger after using this potion? Then I will let you protect me from now on." "Now, you can't let Dad protect you all your life, can you?" Newgate suddenly laughed and said. But Tsunade wanted to say something else, but Newgate interrupted her without giving him a chance. "Stop it. Drink it quickly." With that said, Newgate put the potion directly into Tsunade's hand. "Okay. Let me protect Dad from now on." Thinking of this, Tsunade no longer hesitated and drank the potion directly. As the medicine entered Tsunade's body, it instantly turned into a stream of emerald green energy, constantly transforming Tsunade's body. Wherever the energy passed, the cells in Tsunade's body seemed to be activated and began to be filled with vitality. And in Newgate's sight, after Tsunade drank the potion, he sat down cross-legged. Then his body began to glow with green light. These lights are full of vitality. The original deck of Moby D*K. Hao Li, even though it is made of wood, has been dried in the sun. But, under the green light, buds began to sprout one by one. And Tsunade's attribute panel was constantly changing, and it didn't stop completely until the green light disappeared. Name: Edward Tsunade. Age: 19 years old. Potential: SS+. Power: SS class. Speed: S+ class. Energy: SS level. Body level: SS. Fighting techniques: Top Conqueror's Haki Chakra Refining Technique, Wei Li Pain Tien Jiao Healing Jutsu Chakra Scalpel 100 Healings Mark 100 Healings Mark. Ninja Art: Meiotic Regeneration. Baihao Technique, Wood Style. Weapons: None. Ability: Sage Body. Evaluation: A member of the Senju clan whose bloodline has been awakened has great potential, but her life is very unfortunate. Chapter 73, Powerful Wood. Style: Newgate looked at Tsunade's attribute panel and raised his eyebrows. Wood style? Is this the surprise the system said? Newgate secretly thought. What is wood style? Wood style is the original secret technique of first Hokage Senju Hashirama. This technique belongs to the boundary of blood inheritance and is composed of two attribute chakras, field and water. This is a ninjutsu that is activated by the caster using his own chakra as the source of life. Many trees grow rapidly from the ground, creating a forest in an instant. All the offense and defense of the trees in the forest are controlled by the caster. It can be controlled by the user and is helpful for the user to perform other wood-style ninjutsu. Close double angle bracket. Create an entire deep forest in an instant, and also be able to control the trees in the deep forest at will? Newgate didn't care when he saw the introduction given by the system. After all, they were just trees, and in Newgate's knowledge they couldn't be particularly powerful. You know, he can even destroy an entire mountain with one full blow. It's just a forest and probably not enough for him to punch. But what Newgate is more happy about is that Tsunade's potential has been upgraded to SS+ level. If all the strength is unleashed, he will be a peak martial level powerhouse. Soon Tsunade woke up and was very happy with his changes. "Tsunade, how are you doing?" Newgate also asked directly, although he already knew Tsunade's changes through the system's attribute panel. But it depends on how you feel. Wood style, Dad, I have awakened wood style at 260. Tsunade said excitedly as he felt the changes in the chakra in his body. Tsunade didn't expect that the surprise his father was talking about was this. You must know that wood style ninjutsu is Grandpa's ninjutsu. It is very powerful. Grandpa also relies on wood style ninjutsu to kill everyone. Even a tailed beast has to be sucked dry by Grandpa in front of his grandpa, using wood style to suck out the chakra. What's so great about wood style? Isn't it just making a few trees? When Newgate heard this, he immediately complained indifferently. After all, in Newgate's mind, what's so great about just a few broken pieces of wood? Dad, wood style is very powerful. As he spoke, Tsunade clapped his hands on the ground and shouted, wood style 3 bedrooms and 1 living room technique. Suddenly, under Newgate's shocked gaze, a wooden house with 3 bedrooms, 1 living room and a yard emerged directly from the deck of the Moby D*K. F*K. Awesome, Tsunade, you can actually build a house so quickly. Newgate looked at the 3 rooms and 1 living room, and his perception of wood-style ninjutsu suddenly changed greatly. At least life will be very convenient in the future. And in the future, if you have a base or a country, wood-style ninjutsu can greatly speed up the construction of the country. Advertisement. And since Tsunade can use wood, BGEA, to create wood directions, he should also be able to create ships. In this way, will my own power be able to engage in shipbuilding business in the future? After all, Newgate was born in 2 lives, and he was one of the 4 emperors in his previous life, so after seeing the ability of wood style, he immediately saw its value. That's not true. Tsunade raised his head proudly when he heard Newgate's praise. After all, this was his grandfather's famous ninjutsu. Although she has become her father's child now, she will be very happy when she hears other people praising this ninjutsu. Dad, the function of wood style is not for construction. The real power of wood style is its function in combat. Tsunade said proudly. Fighting? How powerful can it be with just a few broken pieces of wood? Newgate curled his lips and said disdainfully. Dad, let's make a bet, shall we? Seeing Newgate's disdainful look, Tsunade suddenly flashed a smirk in his eyes. How to bet? As soon as he heard about the bet, Newgate immediately became interested. I'll tie you up with wood style. If you can break free, how about I lose? If you can't, count me winning. Tsunade suppressed a bad smile and said, if I win, Daddy, give me 100 million belly and let me go to the casino to play. If Daddy wins, I can have a drink today. Good. Newgate agreed to Tsunade without hesitation. Hey Dad, you guessed wrong this time. I forgot to tell you that the trees created by wood-style ninjutsu are very strong, almost like steel. Tsunade said with a smirk. Etc. Newgate wanted to regret it when he heard this, but it was too late. Tsunade's hands had already been slapped on the ground. Wood-style SM bound. Bound to a tree and buried forever. Damn it. That guy Jiraiya keeps talking nonsense and makes me say it smoothly. Although Tsunade suddenly had random thoughts in his mind, he did not stop moving his hands. I saw countless saplings growing from the deck at Newgate's feet, quickly binding Newgate tightly. As soon as Newgate exerted force, the expression on his face immediately changed. As Tsunade said, the branches created by the wood-style ninjutsu are particularly tough, and are no less tough than steel. But it's still far behind the power of Marshal Newgate. So Newgate burst out his power in an instant, and the saplings on his body collapsed immediately. But, before Newgate had time to be happy, countless saplings came to Newgate again. Damn it! Why is there still more? Suddenly, Newgate finally knew what he was doing and couldn't explain the pain. Every time Newgate broke the saplings, more saplings would immediately tie him up again. And the continuance annoyed Newgate. Advertisement. No, I have to break free next time, I have to leave the place quickly. Newgate thought to himself, and began to exert force on his body. This time he was not going to hold back, so he directly used his strongest strength. However, Newgate was stunned and couldn't break free at all. Newgate, who was a little confused, immediately looked at the saplings on his body and saw that they had turned dark. Armament hockey winding. The people of Newgate were all numb. The trees were originally tough, but now they were wrapped in armed colors. Damn it, you don't have martial ethics. I was careless and didn't dodge. As Newgate wailed, the saplings quickly grew in size, and eventually turned into a huge tree that smashed Newgate under its roots. Ha ha ha. How long can I gamble with 100 million Baileys? When Tsunade, who used ninjutsu, saw this, he immediately started thinking happily. However, Tsunade seemed to have forgotten that she was bound to lose every bet. Crackling. Suddenly there was a heartbreaking sound of breaking. The huge tree was shattered under Tsunade's helpless eyes, and then a green figure jumped out from there. It was Newgate who opened the door. Dad, you don't have martial ethics. Tsunade shouted angrily when he saw his father opening Duman in order to win against him. Where? Is there any rule against opening 8 inner gates? Newgate scratched his head and said guiltily, snort. Tsunade also walked away angrily after hearing this. But Newgate's view of wood style has completely changed. Strong is just too strong. Wood style itself is very strong, and when used, wood style can continuously produce strong trees. If used with armament hockey, it is simply crazy. And the most terrifying thing is that after being touched by a tree, Newgate could feel his physical strength being continuously absorbed. If he hadn't been decisive, he might have lost to Tsunade. After this episode, after the coding was completed, Newgate and his party also embarked on a journey back to Beehive Island. Chapter 74 Huge Profits, 5 Elders Plan. 1 month later. Newgate and his party finally returned to Beehive Island. After Rox learned that Newgate was back, he immediately sent someone to deliver the promised evil reward. But, to Newgate's surprise, what Rox sent over was actually more than the promised 10 billion Baileys and a devil fruit. Instead, there are 20 billion Baileys, a phantom beast devil fruit and an unknown devil fruit. Since Newgate didn't have the devil fruit illustrated book, he didn't know for sure. However, judging from the appearance of this unknown fruit, it should also be an animal fruit. When the other phantom beast devil fruit Rox was delivered, he told Newgate what kind of fruit it was. The name of this phantom devil fruit is Zone Lizard Fruit Phantom Beast Red Dragon Form. Newgate was really surprised when he saw what Rox sent over at first. I didn't expect that Rox would give you so many things. But it's understandable when you think about Rox's profits this time. The operation was a great success. Of the more than 100 boats that actually went out, about 100 successfully brought back supreme gold. According to the rules set by Laughing Rox, every ship that comes back needs to hand over half of its profits. Therefore, Rox's harvest from this operation is not unfruitful. The harvest from pure belly alone is over 100 billion belly. Not to mention other treasures. There are countless devil fruits, treasure weapons, and rocks to harvest. Moreover, it is estimated that Artoria was given so much because of her strong strength. There is another reason why Rox probably wants to restore the relationship with Newgate. After all, this guy's ambition is terrifying. And Newgate has also shown extremely strong strength. In order to realize his ambition, Rox will never let Newgate's powerful power go unused. Looking at the red dragon fruit Newgate in his hand, there was no hesitation. Artoria was called directly. After all, there should be no one more suitable than her for this devil fruit. With the heart of the red dragon, if she eats the red dragon fruit, her potential will definitely be greatly improved. Artoria, eat this devil fruit, Newgate said to Artoria. Good. Hearing this, Artoria ate it without any hesitation. The unpleasant taste suddenly flooded into her heart, causing Artoria to frown uncontrollably. Advertisement, however, her foodie instinct still made her resist vomiting. Seeing that Artoria had eaten the red dragon fruit, Newgate also opened Artoria's attribute panel. Name: Edward Artoria. Age: 15 years old. Potential: SS+. Power: S+. Rank: Speed: S+. Class: Energy: S+. Level. Body level: S+. Fighting skills: Top swordsmanship, riding, intuitive magic, released leadership temperament 8 inner gates formation top conquerors hockey. Weapon: the sword of promise of victory. Ability: red dragon heart red dragon fruit. Evaluation: Silly hair is the real body, a very edible silly hair. Sure enough, Artoria's potential after eating the red dragon fruit has been increased to SS plus level. And Artoria is truly a person with terrifying talents in Conqueror's Hockey. After 2 months of training, I have completely mastered Conqueror's Hockey. She even learned the sword Conqueror's Entanglement, and Artoria's intuition gave her the ability to predict the future. So when her observation Hockey reached the top level, it was logical that she also mastered the ability to predict the future. After Rox fulfilled his promise, Newgate and Rox continued to maintain a relationship of mutual use. In the next few months, Rox would set the price directly and Newgate would handle the matter. This period also caused headaches for the world government. Because Rox pirate is one shot at a time, there were even attacks on several marine branches. See Circle Calendar November 1, 1481. Red Line Malihoa 5 Elders Meeting Room per. The Rox pirate has recently attacked a naval headquarters and 2 world government-affiliated countries, and cannot continue to let it go. Explosive 5 Elders said in a deep voice. But now Rox pirate is indeed a bit difficult to deal with, and Rox is too powerful. If he doesn't die, there is no point in killing the other Rox pirates. Goatee 5 Elders also said with a headache, I do have an idea. At this time, the bald 5 Elders suddenly said, The other people immediately looked over in confusion upon hearing this. Here. The bald 5 Elders placed their hands directly on a point on the map. Advertisement, see. Goatee 5 Elders saw the location on the map and said with some confusion, You plan to use the Valley of the Gods as a trap? That's right. But the Emerald City in the Valley of the Gods is the capital of our celestial dragons. Is it too costly to use it as a trap? Bearded 5 Elders said. If not, will Rox be fooled? The bald 5 Elders said viciously. And after the construction of Marihoa is completed, this will be the place where the Wylong people live. Please give me flowers. The feasibility is very high, but all the celestial dragons must be migrated here in advance. Afro 5 Elders said. All? No, we only need to migrate some of the people. As for the others, don't you think there are too many celestial dragons who are just living off the food? The bald 5 Elders also had a flash of disgust in their eyes. Although he is also a celestial dragon himself. But the current celestial dragons have been comfortable for too long, and more people are doing nothing, which will only waste the resources of the world government. Hiss. The other people looked at each other and took a breath of cold air, because in this way, millions of Kylong people might die as bait. I agree with this plan. Since it is your plan, it is up to you to decide how to implement it. 05 Elders also nodded and said. The other 3 nodded in agreement upon hearing this. Okay. We just need to release the news first that the Wylong people will gather in the Valley of the Gods in February next year to open 10 grand bed ceremonies. All celestial dragons will arrive by then. But in order for Rox to take the bait, we must expose our whereabouts and let Rox know that this celebration is only the Valley of the Marine Protector God. A meaningful smile appeared on the face of the bald 5 Elders. But in this case, even if Rox is deceived and goes to the Valley of Gods, Marine alone doesn't seem to be able to kill him. Hornbeard 5 Elders also immediately discovered the problem. Ha ha ha. The bald 5 Elders laughed immediately after hearing this. Have you forgotten that we have another trump card? The bald 5 Elders pointed to the sky above their heads with a half smile. Several other 5 Elders also reacted immediately, also showing meaningful smiles. With several 5 Elders plotting. The next day, news spread across the sea that the celestial dragons planned to hold a grand celebration in the Valley of the Gods. As the news spread, the whole world knew about it, and suddenly an invisible hand quietly strangled Rox's throat. Newgate's pupils shrank when he saw the news. Is it coming? In his previous life, Rox also began to plan to go to the Valley of the Gods after receiving this news. For a time, the whole world was in turmoil, and there was a feeling that a storm was coming. Chapter 75 The Eve of Heading to the Valley of Gods. On Beehive Island, in Rox's room. Rox put his feet directly on the table, holding the latest newspaper in his hands, leaning on the splendid solid gold seat. His eyes were casually scanning the information in the newspaper, and the look on his face was a little uncertain. Sudden. The phone bug on the table began to shake left and right, making a buzzing sound. Rox picked up the phone. "You sure?" Rox said. "I don't know who the phone bug is." After a while, Rox's original irritable mood was immediately swept away. His eyes were also full of madness. "Chicken, ha ha ha. World government. You actually allowed so many celestial dragons to hold a celebration in the Valley of the Gods, and only relied on Marines to guard it. Then don't blame me." Rox laughed wildly and then walked out of the room and walked towards the square in the center of the island. "Assemble the crew. It's time to realize Lousy's ambition of 450. Beehive Island Rox Pirates Conference Plaza. At this time, a lot of people have gathered here." After hearing Rox's call, Newgate also rushed over immediately. As Newgate led Artoria, Tsunade and others into the square. In an instant, countless eyes focused on Newgate. You must know that the one with the highest bounty in Rox Pirate is not Rox, but Newgate and Artoria. And, as the information spread, almost everyone knew about Artoria's strength. So now in Rox Pirate, almost no one dares to disobey Newgate. As Newgate arrived, people also arrived one after another. Rox also walked to the high platform at this time. Looking at the subordinates below, Rox's eyes flashed with madness, and his heroic voice spread throughout the Beehive Island. "You all know, right? The celestial dragons are going to hold a celebration in the Valley of the Gods. At that time, all the celestial dragons will gather there. Young ones, our chance to rule the world is coming." Rox is like a qualified speaker at this time, describing a great blueprint for the future for everyone. Rule the world. Under his speech, the pirates below all responded to Rox with high spirits. Newgate looked meaningfully at the high-spirited Rox on the stage. "Advertisement, are you unaware that this is a trap, or are you unwilling to believe it? After all, there is a temptation to realize your ambition." Yes. Newgate was also unaware of the outbreak of the Valley of the Gods War in his previous life. In fact, it was always a trap set by the world government. "But, when I went to attack naval headquarters with Rox, I learned about the strength of 5 elders." Newgate discovered the two biggest doubts here, that is, it is clearly announced that this is a grand celebration of celestial dragons, and all celestial dragons will gather there. But, such an important thing, but powerful people like the 5 elders did not guard it. Instead, leave it to Marine to guard, and then there's the cause of Rox's death. Only with truly close contact with a king-level powerhouse could Newgate make a profound discovery. Rox is simply not something Garp and Roger can defeat together. No matter how close Garp and Roger are to king-level strength, they are still only martial-level people. So, Newgate can be very sure that this is a trap for Rox. And it's a trap that Rox can't refuse. In fact, with Rox's IQ, he must have realized that the Valley of the Gods might be a trap. But, kill all the celestial dragons and overthrow the world to become the new king of this world. The temptation for Rox was too great, so Rox will go there anyway. But Newgate is also considering whether he should go to the Valley of the Gods. After all, it seems that going there will do him no harm at all, and Newgate has already made enough in the year since he joined Rox Pirate. Forget it. Let's separate from them after we go to the outskirts of the Valley of Gods. Send Rox off for the last time. After all, he can be regarded as his own captain. Newgate thought to himself. Rox on the stage is still giving a speech. Kill all those celestial dragons. We are the ones in charge of this world. Oh, boys, get on the boat. Let's set off with Lousy. With a wave of Rox's arms, countless pirates immediately rushed to their pirate ships. In an instant, hundreds of pirate ships rushed out. It moved forward into the distance and finally disappeared from sight. And watching these pirate ships disappear from sight, several figures hidden in the darkness immediately passed the news to Kong. Inside Marine headquarters, Kong has also received news of the Rox Pirates dispatch. What on earth do Rox want to do? At this time, they're all showing up. Advertisement. Kong's brows furrowed. Because in order to realize this plan, the 5 elders did not tell Kong that the Valley of the Gods was a trap. Instead, he was told to protect the celestial dragons. And now the Rox have come out in droves, making Kong feel that things are a bit out of control. Continue to explore Rox's whereabouts, after giving instructions to a Marine soldier on the side. Kong secretly thought. Things have become uncontrollable, so let's tell the 5 elders first. Garp here on the other side. Because this celestial dragon's celebration is very important, and the task of guarding it falls entirely on Marine. So, the strongest Garp was sent to the Valley of the Gods to take charge of guarding. Garp is currently at the only entrance to the Valley of the Gods. In the square behind him, there were people in 2s and 3s wearing isolation suits similar to spacesuits. It's a bunch of celestial dragons. Each of them looked arrogant, and they all held a slave in their hands who was secretly holding the reins. Garp looked at the celestial dragons, walking the slaves like dogs without any psychological burden, and a flash of disgust suddenly flashed in his eyes. No more watching those disgusting celestial dragons. Garp looked towards the sea and felt uneasy for some reason. Damn slave for embarrassing me. The sound of beatings came from the square behind him. It was a celestial dragon who was punching and kicking his slave wantonly. Not caring about his life or death at all. Seeing the slave being punched and kicked by him until he vomited blood, a flash of excitement flashed in his eyes. However, that slave was often tortured by celestial dragons. It's long since reached the point where all the oil has run out. So it quickly lost the breath of life. Seeing this scene, Garp's pupils shrank, and anger surged into his heart. But he endured it all his life. Seeing his slave being beaten to death by himself, the celestial dragons did not feel any guilt at all. Instead, he looked displeased. It's really low-level trash to die so easily. Then the celestial dragons turned his attention to a marine soldier who was guarding the Valley of the Gods. Pointing at the marine soldier, he said, "I want him to be my slave." In the horrified eyes of the marine soldier, several men in black instantly took down the marine and put on the collar. Like a dog, he led the marine soldier in front of the celestial dragons. Seeing this scene, Garp's eyes were about to burst and he clenched his fists tightly. It seemed as if he would burst out and kill the celestial dragons at any moment. Calm down. Vice Admiral Garp, Bogart on the side also reminded Garp instantly. Taking a deep breath, Garp forced himself to calm down, turned around and left the place directly towards the seaside. Chapter 76 Reactions from All Forces, Red Line, Malihoa 5 Elders Meeting Room. The 5 elders were sitting on the sofa at this time, feeling like they were in control. Kong is now on the platform below the conference room, looking a little scared. "You said the Rocks pirates were already out in force, right? They left Hive Island quickly and lost sight?" The bald 5 elders said with a smile on his face. Sora was a little confused. He didn't know why the 5 elders were not furious after learning the news. But Sora immediately replied respectfully. "Yes, I am extremely sorry that they lost their sight under Marine's surveillance." After Sora finished speaking, he immediately shut up and waited quietly for the 5 elders' scolding. But what puzzled him was that the 5 elders did not reprimand him, but instead smiled at each other. "Okay. You just need to guard the Valley of the Gods, leave the rest to us." The bald 5 elders said to Kong. Yes, after Kong finished speaking, he left the 5 elders' conference room directly. Watching Sora leave, several 5 elders couldn't help laughing. After preparing for so long, the big fish Rocks is finally ready to bite. 5 elders said excitedly. "Yeah, I believe Rocks will like our gift this time, ha ha ha." Goatee 5 elders also laughed happily. "By the way, is that weapon ready?" "It has been prepared for a long time. It has been charged and the muzzle has been deployed. If you take a blow from this terrifying guy, Lux will be crippled even if he doesn't die, right?" After speaking a few words, the 5 elders also showed cruel smiles. Back to Garp. Unable to stand the behavior of the celestial dragons, even the marines who protect them will be chosen as slaves by them. Angry, Garp then came to the coast to patrol, because Garp has always had a bad premonition. So he set up the artillery and other things he brought on the coast. Be prepared for sudden changes at any time. As time went on, night began to approach. At this time, it was on an uninhabited island near the Valley of the Gods. The bonfire was burning cracklingly, illuminating everything around it red. Looking from the bonfire to the surrounding forest, it looked like a huge mouth of an abyss. Advertisement: the members of the Roger Pirates were watching the banquet here comfortably. In the past year, Rock's pirate has really turned the world upside down. Rayleigh came to Roger with a newspaper and said with some emotion. Destroyed nearly 100 world government member countries, plundered all the gold in the sky, and attacked the naval headquarters. Yeah. It's all their fault. That guy Garp has been performing tasks all the time and has no time to pay attention to us. It's so boring without that guy chasing us, Roger also said with an unhappy face after hearing this. Fun? How fun is it to be chased by that scary guy Garp? It makes me scared every time. Crocus, the ship's doctor, complained. But when did that guy in Newgate become so scary? Rayleigh said suddenly. I don't know either. The bounty is actually higher than Rock's, and his daughter is as strong as Rock's. Roger also shook his head when he heard this and said, but I like him, and he even gave us wine last time. Roger said with a smile. Oh tilde. It turns out that the captain likes Newgate. I guess I have to tell Newgate next time. Roger's crew around him immediately started teasing Roger. Hole. That's not what I like. When Roger heard this, he also knew that he had said the wrong thing and it was really a mistake. By the way, Roger, have you read the newspaper? It seems that the celestial dragons are going to hold a grand celebration in the Valley of the Gods. And it seems that all the celestial dragons will go there. Rayleigh said and handed over the newspaper in his hand. Valley of the Gods? Roger was also stunned when he heard this. Isn't that near our island? That's right. Rayleigh nodded and continued. It seems that the guy Kess has left the hive. It seems that Rox is planning to take action against the Valley of Gods. Roger held his chin in his hand and thought, take action? Did you tell me that this guy Rox will attack the Valley of the Gods? Rayleigh said with a look of disbelief. Roger nodded and said yes, after all, that guy Rox is really crazy. Advertisement, and since he founded Rox Pirate, he has been targeting the world government. Regardless of whether it is the destruction of world government member countries, there is gold in the sky, or an attack on naval headquarters, all are weakening the power of world government. And it just so happened that all the celestial dragons were going to the Valley of the Gods to hold a celebration. Rox Pirate just came out in full force. Tell Roger that there is no relationship between the two, but Roger himself doesn't believe it. Rox will definitely go to the Valley of Gods to attack the celestial dragons. After all, his purpose is to become the new master of this world. Why? Rayleigh was slightly startled when he heard this, and his eyes became sharp. Captain, what are you going to do? The rocks are coming out, and the Valley of the Gods may not be able to be defended by Marine alone. Go stop Rox. Roger drank down the wine in his hand and looked sharply in the direction of the Valley of the Gods. That's right. Captain Roger hasn't become the Pirate King yet. How can Rox get this world? After hearing this, the Roger crew members around him immediately responded. Ha. That's right, let's F*** Rox. Okay. 423 boys. Let's make a big fuss. Then Roger excitedly drank down the wine in his hand. A few days later, a certain sea area near the Valley of the Gods. A large number of bubbles suddenly appeared on the originally calm sea surface, and the seawater seemed to be boiling. Immediately afterwards, a large number of pirate ships rushed out from below the sea surface. The leader is Rox Black Pearl. Yes, this is Rox Pirate. They sailed under the sea surface through coating, avoiding marine sight. Originally, Newgate learned this trick from Rox in his previous life. As the pirate ship rushed out of the sea, Newgate knew in his heart that his status as the deputy captain of the Rox Pirate had come to an end. He will not follow Rox and go to die knowing full well that this is a trap. So Newgate was trying to keep the Moby D*K parked far away. At this time, a subordinate of Rox came to Newgate and invited Newgate to go to the Black Pearl to discuss matters. After thinking for a while, Newgate agreed, and then came to the Black Pearl. Chapter 77 Rox Decision. Buggy. You came. As soon as Newgate entered the Black Pearl's conference room, Rox's voice came. Seeing Rox alone in the conference room, Newgate was a little surprised. He thought Rox had called everyone into a meeting. Unexpectedly, he was the only one. No need to look, I just called you. Rox looked at Newgate seriously and said, Do you want to leave? Newgate was also surprised when he heard this. He didn't expect Rocks to know his thoughts. I was also a little worried about Rocks suddenly attacking. This is normal, after all, no one would jump into it knowing it is a trap. Rocks seemed not to notice Newgate's change and continued. Since you know this is a trap, why do you still plunge into it? Newgate asked with a puzzled look on his face. Chicken ha ha ha. I'm Rocks. How can I have so many reasons? Rocks immediately laughed and said. If you want to leave this time, I won't stop you, but I have one thing to ask of you. Rocks suddenly looked at Newgate seriously and said. You tell me if we can do it, you can definitely do it. Rocks said and turned around and walked into another room in the conference room. After a while he came out again, but at this time, a child with a red nose and blue hair suddenly appeared in his hand. Newgate was also stunned when he saw this child, because this child was the intern who would appear on Roger's ship in the future. I didn't expect to see him here in Rocks now, could it be that? Seeing Rocks holding the child tenderly, Newgate immediately had a suspicion in his heart. This is my baby, Buggy. As if to confirm what Newgate was thinking, Rocks gave the answer directly. It turns out that Buggy is Rocks' child. If we calculate the time, this child is indeed likely to be Rocks' child. I didn't realize this in my previous life. Newgate, I know that you are indeed very capable in raising children. If possible, this child will be your son from now on. I know I may never go back to the Valley of Gods this time. Rocks looked at Buggy in his arms with some reluctance. If anyone else here saw Rocks in such a gentle scene, their jaw would be shocked. But, advertisement Newgate actually refused in his heart. After all, judging from the behavior shown by Buggy in his previous life. This guy is so unreliable and very timid that he does not meet the conditions for adoption by Newgate. I won't treat you badly. Rocks looked at Newgate's hesitation and immediately threw a gold coin in Newgate's direction. This is? Newgate asked doubtfully. This is my symbol. Go back to Beehive Island and find the manager of the villa. He will take you to find my treasure. Rocks explained. Newgate did not answer Rocks immediately. After all, even if Rocks didn't say anything about it, Newgate would definitely go to Beehive Island as soon as possible and steal Rocks' treasure. Did you think I would hide the treasure on Beehive Island? There is only 1/10 of my treasure there. The real treasure has been hidden elsewhere. Rocks said with a smile. Hearing this, Newgate also fell into deep thought, and after a moment said, Okay, I promise you. Chicken ha ha ha. I hope this child can be like me in the future and have the courage to shake the sea. Seeing that Newgate had agreed, Rocks also laughed happily. After hearing Rocks' words, Newgate's mouth couldn't help but twitch. Because this guy Buggy and his father are two extremes, and he doesn't look like Rocks' child at all. Rocks has amazing courage and is insanely powerful. But, Buggy? Timid, weak, in short, he has no merit. But when I think about it, Buggy is not without his merits, at least he is lucky. And he seems to have inherited Rocks' talent for speaking. I still remember during the Summit War, that guy was actually doing a live broadcast. I guess after the Summit War, he became famous all over the world. Newgate thought to himself. If Newgate knew that Buggy had become the new 4 emperors, Newgate would definitely be shocked. Newgate took Buggy from Rock's arms and immediately returned to the Moby D*K level with Buggy and the gold coins. Subsequently, under Newgate's order, the Moby Dick slowly broke away from Rock's fleet and stopped not far from the Valley of the Gods. Now on the deck of the Moby D*K, Newgate looked at the Black Pearl moving away. Suddenly, I felt a trace of the desolation of a strong man who would never return. But Newgate really couldn't figure out why Rocks went to the Valley of the Gods even if he knew it was a trap. But, thinking back to the time when he wanted to save Ace, even though he knew it was a trap set by Marine, he didn't hesitate to save Ace. Newgate was immediately relieved. After all, he became a pirate just to find his family, so he would not hesitate to step into a trap for his family. And now Rocks is like that too. Advertisement maybe there was something in the Valley of Gods that tempted him and made him have to go. Wow wow wow. At this time, Buggy in his arms seemed to feel that something bad was going to happen, and started to cry. Little guy, are you worried about him? Newgate looked at Buggy tenderly and said, Since you are my child from now on, you will be called Edward Buggy from now on. Buggy in his arms seemed to understand. After Newgate said the name Edward Buggy, he actually smiled and fell asleep. Goo la la la. It seems you like this name quite a lot. Newgate nodded happily when he saw this scene, and at this time, a system prompt also sounded immediately. Ding! Congratulations to host for getting the 5th son. Do you want to receive the 5th daughter? No, Newgate refused directly, because it was really inconvenient to still be on the deck. The system opens Buggy's property panel. Name: Edward Buggy. Age: 1-year-old, potential: A+, power: G-class. Speed: G-class. Energy: G-class, body grade: G. Combat skills: none. Weapons: none. Ability: Conqueror's Luck. Evaluation: this is an European emperor. He is so lucky. If one day he says he picked up a supreme sharp knife on the road, don't doubt Wu De Jiao. He will really pick it up. What the hell is this Conqueror's Luck in the system? Why haven't I heard of it? Newgate looked at Buggy's property panel and immediately asked in confusion. Conqueror's Luck. The luckiest person among non-abled people in the world. Hearing this, Newgate also nodded. Thinking about it, it's true. Buggy is really lucky. In a battle like the Valley of the Gods, the entire island was eventually silenced. As a result, he was a little kid who didn't die, and was saved by Roger. When I grew up, I was caught impelled down. Originally, with his strength, he would never be able to escape in this life, but then he met Luffy who was going to rob the prison, and he miraculously escaped. I have to say that his luck is indeed very good. After Newgate looked at Buggy's properties panel. The Valley of Gods War has also officially begun. Chapter 78 The War in the Valley of Gods breaks out. Watching Rock's pirates' huge fleet advance rapidly. The Valley of Gods War broke out completely. A large number of Rock's pirate ships attacked the target as quickly as locusts. Bang bang bang. Countless artillery fire quickly hit Rock's pirate from the direction of Valley of the Gods. Despite this, nothing has stopped Rock's pirate from moving forward. Soon Rox and his men officially set foot on the Island of Gods. Rox, Charlotte Linlin, Kaido, Ochaku, Shiki, Silver Axe, John. All of them are world-famous great pirates. At this time, they gathered here at the same moment. As the terrifying aura on their bodies burst out, the surrounding air seemed to freeze for an instant. Rox. Garp's face looked extremely ugly, because he knew about Rock's strength and it was simply not something he could deal with. And the cadres around him are not easy to mess with. But, even so, Garp still didn't retreat even a little bit and stood in front of all the Marines. There was also a terrifying aura erupting from his body. Chicken ha ha ha. Garp, do you think you can stop us on your own? Rock's eyes shot sharply at Garp. At the same time, 790 hours. A king-level terror, Conqueror's Haki, was like an overwhelming force, crushing towards the Valley of Gods. Buzz buzz. In an instant, all the people on the island whose strength was below Vice Admiral level fainted. Especially among the celestial dragons in the Valley of Gods, there is no one left standing at this time. Boom. Suddenly, a powerful Conqueror's Haki burst out from Garp's body and collided with Rock's Conqueror's Haki, causing lightning to flash. Chicken ha ha ha. I didn't expect a marine lackey to have such a strong Conqueror's Haki. Rox mocked as if he had seen something surprising. Advertisement. The Valley of Gods War is Garp's god-conferring war. But with the strength of Garp and Roger, is it really possible to defeat Rox? Newgate stood on the deck of the Moby D*K, looking in the direction of the Valley of the Gods and lost in thought. As long as I'm still standing here today, I will never let you do whatever you want, Rox. Garp's voice exploded in everyone's hearts like thunder, causing the pirates behind Rox to tremble. Chicken ha ha ha. Then just give it a try. Rox gave a crazy smile. Immediately, the momentum on his body exploded, and the terrifying Conqueror's Haki suddenly burst out with all his strength. He actually sent back Garp's Conqueror's Haki. The two people are not on the same level at all. Rock's Conqueror's Haki is simply not comparable to Garp's Conqueror's Haki. Seeing this scene, Garp's expression also changed. Then he jumped, quickly shoot towards Rox. Cut. Rox cut it with disdain, and then responded immediately. Boom. The fists of the two people collided together, the collision of armed colors and armed colors. The collision between conquerors and conquerors instantly erupted with terrifying pressure, shattering the ground. And as the two people stalemate, the aftermath becomes stronger and stronger. Even the sea near Newgate became rough. Screw you. Rocks no longer held back, and immediately knocked Garp away. He didn't stop until he hit a huge rock. Chicken, ha ha ha. Garp. Just because you still want to keep me, stop being so wishful thinking. Rocks smiled ferociously, and then pointed in the direction of the Valley of the Gods. Boys. Kill all the celestial dragons and steal their treasure. Oh, at this time, the pirates behind Rocks were already ready to move, each of them looking like hungry wolves with greedy expressions on their faces. Even Ochaku, Silver Axe, John, Shiki and others are the same. They don't care about Rock's ambitions at this point. This is the Valley of the Gods, the capital of the celestial dragons. Everyone knows that there is countless wealth here. Rock's command is now heard. Advertisement, each one of them was like a wild horse running wild, heading towards the Valley of the Gods quickly. On the way, I met marines or celestial dragons who had fainted and killed them easily. Damn pirates, stop it. Seeing his men being killed one by the pirates, Garp suddenly became extremely angry. Chicken, ha 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 ha. Garp, I told you that you couldn't stop me. Rocks said with a grin on his face, disdainfully. What if we are added to the mix? Suddenly a sound like thunder echoed throughout the island of gods. Immediately afterwards, Conqueror's Haki, which was no weaker than Garp, burst out in an instant. Crushed towards the rocks. Roger. Rocks looked at the direction Haki came from and said through gritted teeth. Ha ha ha. Rocks. For the dream of becoming the Pirate King, I can't let you take over the world first. As Roger's voice came, the Oro Jackson also appeared in everyone's sight. When I invited you to join my pirate group, you refused me, but now you dare to stop me. Do you really think I don't dare to kill you? Rock's face was ashen, and his anger was almost solidified. If you have the ability, give it a try. God avoids. Roger's expression darkened immediately after hearing this. The terrifying Conqueror's Haki and Armament Haki quickly poured into Ace's hand and saw countless black and red lightning burst out. He slashed in the direction of Rocks. Boom! Rocks didn't speak, but silently raised his right hand, and also concentrated his strongest blow. He quickly threw it at the long knife in Roger's hand. Roger was instantly knocked out and fell next to Garp with blood vomiting from his mouth. Ha 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 ha. Roger, you are too embarrassed. Garp couldn't help laughing when he saw Roger's embarrassed look. How can you be better? Roger glanced at Garp and couldn't help complaining. Seeing that he was also in tatters, Garp immediately fell silent. Let's work together, Garp, Roger said to Garp. Do you want to cooperate? I agree. Rocks must be kept here today? Garp nodded, knowing Rock's strength. Even if he and Roger work together, they may not be able to defeat Rocks. Therefore, in this case, only cooperation is the most appropriate option. Chapter 79. A surprising change occurred. Rocks are in danger. Do you two really think I'm made of clay? Rocks watched Garp and Roger complain to each other in front of him as if there was no one there. In an instant, he became extremely angry, like a dragon whose dream had been disturbed. A terrifying and sticky Conqueror's Haki tilde instantly penetrated the body. Conqueror's Haki, which belongs to the extremely strong, mixed with Rock's terrifying Armament Haki. A red-black shock wave instantly formed, sweeping away towards everything around it. Immediately, everything within a 20-meter radius centered on the rocks was razed to the ground in an instant. At the same time, Rock's figure disappeared instantly and shot towards Garp and Roger. Bump. Boom. Roger and Garp felt the terrifying Conqueror's Haki coming, and their hearts trembled immediately. He also reacted immediately. Roger and Garp are indeed a pair of rivals who love each other and kill each other. The two people unknowingly developed a very high degree of tacit understanding while chasing each other. Rocks is powerful though. Every time he collided with Roger or Garp, he had an absolute advantage. But, just when Rocks wants to strike, another person will always burst out of his blind spot. This forced Rocks to give up attacking and instead defend another person's sneak attack. At the same time, inside the Red Line 5 Elders conference room. Rox has taken the bait, and Roger and Garp have already held him back. Goatee 5 Elders said while looking at the document in his hand. Roger? Why is he there? The 5 Elders were a little surprised. After all, it was too inconsistent for a pirate to cooperate with Marine. Be ambitious. Roger's ambition is no less than that of Rox. The bald 5 Elders put his chin in his hand and thought, he doesn't know that this is a trap set by us, so he will definitely prevent Rox from ruling the world. Ha ha. Pirates are indeed a group of inferior people. Maybe we can come up with a plan for pirates to check and balance pirates. 5 Elders said with disdain. Let's talk about this later. Now we should deal with Rox first. The bald 5 Elders said, Roger and Garp's strength can only hold Rox back for a short time. Over time, they will definitely lose. Then you know how to activate that weapon, Afro 5 Elders said. But, Goatee 5 Elders hesitated to speak, and finally said unbearably, are you sure you want to activate Uranus? Even the Island of Gods will sink if it directly takes a blow from Uranus. Then, lots of celestial dragons. Advertisement. Everyone fell silent after hearing this, but considering the current situation of world government, by 5 Elders also said directly. There are too many celestial dragons now. They do nothing and have become a burden on the world government. If we can invest more money in the construction of the army, if Marine can have 3 admirals, maybe there won't be a guy as powerful as Rox. Start it. After being silent for a long time, Goatee 5 Elders reluctantly agreed. Because he knew that the bald 5 Elders were right. At this time, the huge number of celestial dragons had become a serious burden for the world government. And the financial revenue of world government is limited. As a result, the funds used to build the army are shrinking every year. And now there is an opportunity for the world government to get out of the current predicament, which must not be missed. And, you can also put this crime on Rox, why not? The remaining 5 Elders also unanimously decided to activate Uranus. Finally, a red button was pressed by the bald 5 Elders. In an instant, a huge red beam of light pierced the sky and shot towards the Valley of Gods. Return to the Valley of Gods. Rox was extremely angry when he looked at Roger and Garp who were cooperating in front of him. Then his eyes moved, and a plan instantly emerged in his mind. Then Rox disappeared from the spot, and the terrifying armament hockey and Conqueror's hockey condensed in his hands quickly hit Garp. Bump. Crackling. Rox's fist collided with Garp's fist, and a terrifying sound erupted instantly. Countless black and red lightnings were flashing. But, Rox are Rox after all. After just a moment of stalemate, Garp was sent flying. Just one collision and a decision was made in an instant. In an instant, Rox's eyes flashed, and he looked like he wanted to continue chasing. A terrifying Conqueror's hockey condensed in his hands. At this moment, Roger had arrived behind Rox. God avoids. The ace in Roger's hand instantly erupted with terrifying pressure. Roger's strongest blow came when he struck out, and the long knife in his hand struck Rox in the back at an angle. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Rox's eyes flashed, and he showed a smile that showed success. He dodged Roger's attack by turning slightly sideways. What? Seeing that his attack was dodged by Rox, Roger suddenly screamed inwardly. Die to lousy. The Conqueror's hockey and armament hockey in Rox's hands were instantly transferred to his right foot. Then, Hockey's right foot was entangled with the weapon color and Conqueror's hockey, and it hit Roger hard on the back. Advertisement. Please give me flowers. Oh. Wow. In an instant, Roger spat out a mouthful of blood, and his momentum plummeted instantly. The whole person flew quickly towards the distance like a kite with a broken string, and landed on the edge of the Island of Gods. Roger. Garp was also very worried and chased in the direction of Roger. Chicken ha ha ha. Let's see who can stop me from killing all the celestial dragons and ruling this world. Chicken ha 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 ha. Rox was also in ecstasy, and no one on the Island of Gods could stop him at this time. He seemed to have seen himself, becoming the master of this world, calling the wind and rain, and having beautiful women like clouds. Whoosh! What? Suddenly, Rox felt a chill on his back. Suddenly, I felt like the ghosts of the dead were coming out. Because just now in his observation hockey, he sensed a huge red light beam heading towards him. Extremely fast. Rox wanted to escape from this position, but it was too late. The red light beam arrived behind Rox in an instant. 5 elders. Boom. Just as Rox roared, the red beam of light hit Rox directly. Immediately afterwards, a terrifying explosion exploded in the place centered on Rox. Suddenly, it was as if a nuclear bomb had exploded at Rox's location. A huge mushroom house also rose into the sky instantly. Immediately afterwards, a high-temperature and terrifying shockwave also centered on Rox and exploded to the surroundings. Wherever the shockwave passed, weak people were turned into powder in an instant. When Garp saw this terrifying shockwave, he immediately stood in front of Roger. In an instant, the whole body was wrapped with a thick layer of armament hockey to resist the shockwave. The shockwave spread very quickly, covering the entire God's Island in an instant, setting off a thick cloud of smoke. Even so, this terrifying shockwave was still spreading rapidly towards the periphery, and soon arrived not far from Newgate's Moby D*K. Certainly, Newgate roared angrily, and Shock Fruit's ability was instantly activated. The shockwave that was about to touch Moby D*K dissipated without a trace in an instant. The shockwave is just the air vibrating, so Newgate resolved it easily. But at this time, the Island of Gods had become extremely silent under this terrifying blow, as if there was no living person at all. Chapter 80. Everyone has their own agenda. Rox's defeat is determined. Call. Suddenly a gust of sea breeze blew by, and the smoke and dust on the Island of Gods gradually dispersed. I saw that everything within a few hundred meters with Rox as the center had been burned to coke. Even Garp, who was very far away from Rox, even though he used armament hockey with all his strength, his skin was still burned by the terrifying shockwave. The whole person was out of breath and consumed a lot of energy. And the members or cadres of Rox's pirate who were burning, killing and looting in the Valley of the Gods. Each and every one of them suffered considerable injuries. But, because the Valley of the Gods is surrounded by several mountains, most of the shockwaves were absorbed by the mountains. So they were not seriously injured. It's just that the mountains around the Valley of Gods have been razed to the ground at this time. But even so, the celestial dragons in the Valley of Gods, as well as the weaker thieves and marines, were all turned into powder. And Rox, who was at the center of the 153 explosion. The situation at this time is extremely miserable. His clothes had become torn, and his body had suffered extensive burns. A large hole had been opened on the right side of the chest, and a large amount of blood spurted out. The lungs that are constantly rising and falling with breathing are also clearly visible. The aura on his body is also very strong, and he has fallen from the king level to the peak of the martial level. All I can say is that it is indeed Rox. In this sudden and terrifying blow, he was only seriously injured. Even so, Rox can still maintain his peak martial level strength. But, if Rox can't fix the wound on his chest, over time, strength will continue to decline, and the officers of Rox's pirate. Although they saw this scene, everyone seemed not to have seen it. Just keep on plundering the celestial dragon's treasure. Although most of the treasure has been taken away by the world government. But, it can only be said that they are worthy of the celestial dragons. Even so, they still have hundreds of millions of belly in their homes. These damn guys. Seeing this scene, Rox's eyes suddenly turned cold. It seemed like they were going to be cut into pieces. Advertisement. Although I know that each of them has their own agenda, but did not expect, as soon as they showed their weakness, they became so blatant. Rox, do you still want to continue fighting after this? Garp and Roger had also adjusted by this time and were in front of Rox again. Chicken, ha ha ha. I'm Rox. Do you think you can defeat me even if I'm seriously injured? Rox suddenly laughed arrogantly. A terrifying conqueror's hockey once again vented towards the surroundings. But, although conqueror's hockey at this time is still terrifying, for some reason it feels like a hero in his twilight years. Stubborn. Then you die here, Garp immediately said angrily, and then he and Roger disappeared again, shooting in the direction of Rox. Bump. Boom. The three people collided quickly again. At this time, the Island of Gods, which had already withstood the blow of Uranus, had already become shaky. Once again, I was affected by the residual power of the battle between Rocks, Roger and Garp. The entire island of God began to crumble, and fragments of the island continued to sink into the sea. The island began to tremble non-stop. Is this the real cause of Rock's death? Newgate felt a little sad when he saw Rock's miserable appearance. After all, he didn't come to the Valley of Gods in his previous life, so he didn't know what happened. However, after seeing Uranus's terrifying blow, he became even more wary of world government. Uranus, what exactly is Uranus? Newgate couldn't help but fell into deep thought. The world government that has ruled the world for more than 750 years has to be said to be very terrifying. The trump cards come one after another. I thought that after Artoria mastered the 8 inner gates formation, she would have king-level strength. Not to mention being able to rule the world, but I can now travel unimpeded on this sea. But, today's terrifying shock made Newgate's heart sink to the bottom. If this blow had landed on his or Artoria's head, both of them would probably be dead. After all, it takes time for Artoria to open the 8th gate. And according to the speed of that terrifying beam of light, Artoria would not have time to open the 8 inner gates. Rocks, who had just entered the king's level, was seriously injured despite all-out defense. Advertisement, not to mention that Artoria, who only had peak admiral level strength, would definitely die without a complete body. And, the most important thing is, where did this attack come from? Is it the work of Uranus? If so, that's it. After all, I have at least heard of the reputation of Uranus. If not, that's a bit scary. How many trump cards does the world government have? And Rocks has been making noise for so long. The world government's other trump card, the Knights of God, has never even shown its face. What kind of strength do they have? All of this seemed to be shrouded in a thick layer of fog, and Newgate couldn't help but want to explore. Let's go. Newgate turned to Tsunade and said, "The defeat of Rocks has been determined, and there is no point in continuing to stay." "Yeah, Dad. Where are we going now?" Tsunade also nodded and asked with some confusion. "Go to Beehive Island. Take the treasure that belongs to Rocks." Newgate looked in the direction of Beehive Island, playing with the gold coin representing Rock's identity in his hand. After all, Rock's defeat has been decided, and it is estimated that like the previous life, it will sink into the sea together with the Valley of Gods. And his treasure became ownerless. In his previous life, his treasure was divided between himself and several other people. And now he not only has the gold coin representing Rocks, but also Rock's son in his hand. There is no reason to share those treasures with others. And Newgate was also a little curious about how rich the treasure hidden by Rocks was. After all, it seemed that John got the treasure in the previous life. But because John died in the end, he buried his treasure before he died. Although John's treasure is widely spread across this sea. 1.5. No one has ever found it, so just how rich Rocks and John's treasure is has always been an unsolved mystery. Immediately under Newgate's order, the Moby D*K quickly sped towards the direction of Beehive Island. After introducing Buggy to Tsunade and the others, they also handed Buggy over to their care, and Newgate immediately returned to his room. The system collects the 5th daughter. Ding! Congratulations on successfully claiming the host reward. Now we start to draw the unfortunate people in the world. Please wait while the draw is in progress. As the sound of the system fell, a translucent screen also appeared in front of Newgate's eyes.